So his friend gives him a new mission: pack boxes. And this is where the hellish training begins. He couldn't refuse because his only other option was a fate even worse. He tries to vent his frustrations, but his new coworker is a little dense. But this is no ordinary warehouse bot. It suddenly flags an unregistered product. And just like that, the robot confiscates the package, leaving our guy completely stunned. Hold on, was he just testing the system? Because now he's the one giving the orders. He's not just a worker here, he's running the whole show, clipboard and all. Yet, even with all this control, something feels deeply, unnervingly wrong. He looks around and realizes the chilling truth. This entire massive facility is run by machines. And in that moment, it hits him. This isn't a job, he's walked straight into a trap. So how did our guy get roped into this mess? It all started 2 months ago, with the biggest mistake of his life: feeling optimistic. That feeling of freedom lasted for about 5 seconds, until his phone rang and shattered his entire world. It's his parents, casually dropping the bomb that their congratulatory gift is kicking him out of the family home. Now forced to live alone, he starts the job hunt, completely unaware that his savings are about to become worthless. His big plan wasn't to get rich, but to land a cute cafe job and a storybook romance. Oh, you sweet summer child. Yeah, about that. Reality is about to hit him like a ton of bricks. Forget romance. He doesn't even get to touch the cash register before getting hit with the classic, "We need someone with experience." Fast forward 1 month and he's completely demoralized, the perfect state for a predator to strike. And right on cue, the bait appears. A text from his friend about an easy delivery job. Which brings us back to now, trapped in this cold, lifeless factory, realizing that easy job was the biggest lie of all. He's trapped in a robot-run nightmare, and his biggest complaint? The job is too easy. Just when he's lost in his thoughts, a voice cuts through the silence, and it's not a robot. Meet manager Shin, the first human he's seen, and he's already radiating, "I'm your new problem" energy. So he puts on his best happy employee face and agrees to a little treasure hunt for some missing tuna. And his first thought? The cold, unfeeling robot has more personality than his actual human boss. He heads into the cavernous warehouse alone, on a mission that feels way too simple for a place this sinister. Endless rows of identical boxes making you wonder what's really inside them. He spots the missing cargo, tucked away where no one would casually look. But as he grabs it, a crucial detail clicks. In a perfectly automated system, why is this box in the wrong place? And that's when he feels it. A sudden chill, a sense that he's not just grabbing a box, he's triggering the real trap. The second he grabs the box, the trap is sprung, sealing him inside. He sprints to the door, but the handle won't budge. He's officially locked in. His first reaction isn't fear, but pure annoyance. This has to be some kind of stupid prank. He tries calling the one person who can get him out, but of course, Manager Shin's line goes straight to voicemail. He almost calls for real help, but then a dangerously naive thought crosses his mind. He actually talks himself out of it, worried about making things awkward with his new boss. So instead, he texts his sister a joke about being trapped, and she thinks it's hilarious. But her next message wipes the smile right off his face. A building just collapsed near her house. A second later, his phone rings. It's her, and the panic is about to become very, very real. He answers the call, completely unaware that his personal nightmare is just a small piece of a much larger disaster. But his sister's panicked voice is cut off by static, leaving him completely baffled. Then the entire world starts to shake, throwing him to the ground as the call disconnects. That's when the alarms blare to life, bathing the entire warehouse in a sinister red glow. He finally realizes this isn't a building collapse. This is something much, much bigger. An automated voice orders a full evacuation, a cruel joke for the one person who can't leave. And in that moment, he understands. Manager Shin didn't just trap him, he left him for dead. He hammers on the door, his voice hoarse, screaming that someone is still inside. With his pride shattered, he fumbles for his phone to dial emergency services. But of course, in a steel-reinforced trap, there's no signal and the battery is about to die. With all hope gone, a horrifying question emerges. What if this isn't just a disaster? What if it's a war? He's pounding on the door to get out, but now something is pounding to get in. A single chilling thought cuts through the panic. He just alerted the monster to his exact location. The rules of the game just changed. Stay silent or you don't stay alive. He doesn't need to see it to know the horrifying truth. Whatever's out there isn't human. Cornered, terrified, and with a monster scratching at the door, he's officially run out of ideas. With no other choice, he retreats into the darkness, hoping to become just another shadow. 3 days later, he's still alive, surviving on the very canned tuna that led him into this trap. And then comes the twisted realization. This prison, meant to be his tomb, actually saved his life. But even this sanctuary has an expiration date, and with his phone about to die, he prepares his final message. He accepts his end with one last hope for his family, completely oblivious that his ordeal is far from over. The alarms finally die, but the silence is somehow even more terrifying. His only thought is for his family, completely unaware that the world has fundamentally changed. And just when he's at his lowest, a message from the universe itself pops into view. He's not sure if he's being saved or if he's finally snapped from the isolation. The system grants him a new power, a personal subspace, a pocket dimension just for him. But his first reaction isn't hope. It's the chilling certainty that he's completely lost his mind. So he decides to play along with his hallucination and makes the most insane request possible. Except the system doesn't get the joke and asks if he's serious about storing the entire building. He says yes, and reality itself shatters as an unimaginable power surges through him. He's thrown across the ground, learning a critical lesson. In this new world, you don't joke with the system. The backlash hits him like a freight train, and when he opens his eyes, the entire building is just gone. He stumbles to his feet, completely disoriented, with only one horrified question. Where am I? He finally sees the world outside his prison, and it's a graveyard of twisted metal and shattered concrete. And lying in the rubble is the face of his former boss, a grim reminder that no one was safe. But he has no time to process it, because the system confirms the impossible. It's actually storing the entire warehouse. Just as he's reeling, the system hits him with another bombshell. It's found a compatible operating system. This isn't some simple software patch. The update feels like it's rewriting his very brain. As the power settles, he looks down and realizes his own shadow is moving with a dark, unnatural energy. But a much larger shadow suddenly falls over him, cast by the very monster he'd been hiding from. He desperately tries to calm his racing heart, completely unaware of the hulking beast standing inches away. He recognizes the roar from 3 days ago and makes a fatal miscalculation, assuming it's just passing by. But his moment of calm is shattered by a desperate scream. Someone else just became the monster's new target. And there it is, a face straight out of a nightmare, with eyes that promise nothing but pain. The first guy is gone in a flash, and now our hero is the main course, screaming as the beast charges. He doesn't even have time to react before a brutal blow sends him flying. He scrambles to his feet, realizing this isn't just a monster, it's an orc, and for some reason, it's locked onto him. He's running on pure adrenaline, but his legs are giving out. He's about to become another casualty. Then, just as he's about to be caught, a system message pops up, offering an impossible escape. The monster lunges, its jaws inches from his face, a split second from the end, and the system asks the most important question of his life. Does he want to live? With death staring him down, he screams the one word that changes everything. Yes. But the orc doesn't care about his answer and swings for the final blow. For a horrifying second, he thinks he was too slow, that this is the end. And then the system kicks in, wrapping him in a shield of pure, impossible energy. He stands his ground, no longer prey, but something else entirely. The monster is frozen just outside an invisible wall, completely baffled by its new chew toy. A tiny drone zips in to confirm the obvious. Yeah, he's got a personal force field now. And not just a force field, the system declares him the absolute master of this new dimension. The guy who was just a warehouse worker is now the god of his own pocket universe. Just like that, he's not on Earth anymore. He's in the subspace, and he makes the rules. He can't believe it. He's untouchable, and the monster is just a window display. Welcome to his private universe, where the only thing on the floor is a portal back to hell. Even his own drone can't compute the fact that he just pocketed an entire 5-story building. And for surviving the apocalypse and stealing a building, the system gives him a shiny rock. He has no idea what a monostone is, but it's the first good thing that's happened to him in days. But his moment of peace is shattered by the orc, who's not a fan of the new do not touch policy. That's the face of a monster realizing its dinner reservation just got canceled indefinitely. He has to ask just to be sure, and the system confirms it. This VIP lounge is monster-proof. His new power comes with a user manual detailing every square inch of the fortress he now owns. But one stat catches his eye, and a dangerous, brilliant idea starts to form. He's barely processed his new powers when the system hits him with a countdown, 2 minutes until the lights go out. And just like that, the system offers a solution. That little rock he just earned is the battery for his entire 5-story fortress. He's holding 24 hours of life for a massive building in the palm of his hand, and he can't even believe it. Turns out when you steal a building with a magic system, it helpfully rewires the whole thing to run on mana. But it's not just the building that's changed. He's realizing his little drone assistant got a major intelligence upgrade. But while he's busy thinking, the countdown hits 0. The world goes dark and the system confirms his mistake. He was too slow. But it's not just the lights. The drone warns him that without power, the most valuable loot in the building is about to spoil. We're not talking canned tuna anymore. We're talking an entire stockpile of fresh meat, vegetables, and prepared meals. And in a world of monsters and ruin, he realizes he's not just holding a warehouse, he's holding the key to survival for everyone. He's got 24 hours of power, but a lifetime of problems if he can't find more fuel. And the system drops the bombshell. To get more power, he has to hunt monsters. The guy who was hiding from monsters just got told he needs to become a monster hunter. He looks at the portal, and a terrifying, brilliant plan begins to form. That orc isn't just a monster anymore, it's a walking, snarling battery pack. So he powers up the facility, officially starting the clock on his first hunt. But he's not going out there empty-handed. It's time to go shopping in his personal apocalypse mart. Forget canned tuna, he's searching for anything sharp, pointy, and monster-stopping. He hits the jackpot, a full arsenal of knives and axes because this is no longer a rescue mission. But with a limited supply, he knows every throw has to count, or he's the one who'll end up on the menu. He's got weapons, but one look at that monster raises a very important question. Are they even sharp enough? He realizes the orc is basically a sitting duck, frozen outside his portal until he makes a move. So he comes up with a new plan. He doesn't have to win, he just has to wound it. He gives himself a pep talk, channeling his inner action hero for the most important throw of his life. He lets the knife fly, and for a split second, it looks like he actually landed a hit. And it bounces right off, doing nothing but making the monster even angrier. His perfect plan just shattered against a wall of pure, impenetrable muscle. The daggers are useless, leaving him with a box of fancy toothpicks and a very big problem. He realizes there's only one weapon left that might actually leave a dent, the heavy axe. So he asks his drone for an inventory check, because this is no longer a one-shot deal. It's a war of attrition. He scraps the knife plan and decides if you can't cut it, you just have to smash it. The drone confirms he has 15 axes, but he's already worried about running out. But then the math doesn't add up, he already took one, so why is the stock count the same? He tests his theory, and suddenly the floor is covered in perfect copies of the same axe. He's not just holding a weapon, he's holding a glitch in reality itself. His drone drops a bombshell. In this dimension, physical objects are just data, which means he can break them, lose them, or throw them, but he can never ever run out. The truth finally sinks in. He's not in a warehouse, he's in an infinite item glitch. And his little drone buddy confirms it, changing the entire game. So if he has an infinite supply of weapons, who says he has to fight fair? With an infinite supply of axes, he realizes he doesn't need a perfect shot. He just needs to make it rain. But there's just one problem. He's a warehouse worker, not a professional axe thrower, and his arm is about to give out. And that's when the drone reveals the ultimate cheat code. He can use the warehouse's shipping system to teleport weapons. The command is so simple it's terrifying. Just think of the axe and say ship. He whispers the word, and an axe materializes at point-blank range, delivering a devastating blow. He's left completely speechless as the drone system automatically preps the next axe for delivery. He's blown away by the speed, and the drone confirms it. He's basically firing axe missiles at highway speeds. And that's when it clicks. Shipping speed isn't about delivery times, it's about projectile velocity. But the system isn't done blowing his mind. It tells him he can make them go even faster. And the key to unlocking that power? The very same mana stone he just earned for surviving. And just like that, the monster isn't a threat anymore, it's a battery. The system introduces a new currency for this broken world, packs, and he's about to get paid. With his first victory under his belt, it's time for a serious wardrobe upgrade. He ditches the sneakers for a pair of military-grade combat boots because he's done running, and some tactical pants to match because this apocalypse has a dress code. He's not the same guy who was hiding in the dark, he's a survivor preparing for war. But he's not just gearing up for a fight, he's planning a city-wide operation. With a map of Seoul laid out, he's about to draw his new battle lines. First, he marks his current location, the Gwangjin district, ground zero of his new life. And then he circles his target, the Gangnam district, because his next mission is personal. Then he circles the most important location on the map, his family's home. He's not just planning a trip, he's mapping out a rescue mission across a fallen city. And with a single, desperate thought for his family, the race against time officially begins. Walking is for amateurs because he's got something way better stashed in his infinite warehouse. Forget supercars. In the apocalypse, a top-of-the-line electric bike is the ultimate getaway vehicle. With a flip of a switch, he sends a silent promise across the ruins. I'm coming for you. And just like that, the former warehouse worker rides out to save the world, one ruined street at a time. 30 minutes on the road and he's already racked up a dozen monster takedowns. But this isn't just a rampage, it's a crash course in apocalypse survival, and he's learning fast. Lesson 1, the monsters never ever stop coming. Lesson 2, it's time to figure out exactly what these new powers can do. He's not just teleporting axes anymore, he's teleporting himself out of harm's way. And when he can't dodge, his personal force field turns monster fists into a minor inconvenience. He was so busy surviving, he never stopped to think about how broken his new power actually is. Yeah. Overpowered is one word for turning an infinite axe supply into a high-speed blender. But he's not the only one out here fighting, and someone else's attack just bounced right off. All that did was get its attention, and now it's looking for the source of the noise. He tries to take it out with a new skill, but his timing is just a little off. Turns out his new trump card has a 30-second cooldown, but that's a problem money, or mana stones, can solve. But just as he's planning his next move, he realizes the shipping ability has a hidden function he never knew about. He thought he missed, but the system wasn't aiming for the monster, it was aiming for the weapon it was holding. Because shipping is a two-way street, and product retrieval means he can summon back anything he's ever thrown. And if a monster happens to still be holding his axe, well, that's just a bonus. But then he realizes the system isn't even trying to retrieve the axe. It's an auto-loot function, ripping the mana stone right out of the monster's corpse from a distance. The only catch? He has to be the one to land the final blow to claim the prize. And just like that, the system confirms it. Every monster he defeats automatically becomes his personal piggy bank. With his new powers figured out, he's back on the clock. Get to his family, get them into the subspace, and pray he's not too late. But as he steps back into the ruined city, he's about to learn his second, much harsher lesson of the apocalypse. Yeah, orcs were just the tutorial level. Now he's got dragons. And just when you think you've seen it all, the sky fills with the screech of whatever fresh hell this is. But our guy isn't scared, he's already sizing up his next mana battery. Then he realizes the horrifying truth. That's not the sound of one monster, it's a whole swarm. And a human scream cuts through the chaos, reminding him he's not the only one out here. He spots the source, a terrified survivor running for his life. And his heart sinks. He recognizes the man, just in time to watch him become the target. The creature dives, and suddenly this isn't a hunt anymore, it's a rescue mission he's about to fail. In a flash of movement, the monster strikes its prey with brutal precision. The creature flies off, leaving another victim in the dust of the ruined city. He sprints towards the fallen man, but he's already afraid of what he's going to find. He screams for the man to get up, but it's already too late. The monster has its prize. And just as he braces for impact, the creature's attack freezes inches from his face. It's staring him down, practically drooling, but for some reason it's not making a move. He's completely baffled. In a world where everything wants him gone, why is this one monster hesitating? Then it turns away, its eyes locking back onto the fallen man, and the horrifying truth starts to click. The monster isn't hesitating, it's just ignoring him, deciding he's not worth the effort. He's got a knife and a death wish, but how do you get the attention of a beast that's already decided you're not a threat? But before he can make a move, a blinding light cuts through the darkness and it's coming from right behind him. A strange sound rips through the air, and suddenly, the monster isn't the only thing they need to worry about. Something whips past with impossible speed, and our hero realizes a third player has just entered the game. A high-tech axe finds its mark, taking the monster down in one clean, decisive shot. But the guy holding the weapon isn't our hero. It's a complete stranger, and he can't believe what just happened. He breathes a sigh of relief, thinking he just pulled off the luckiest shot of his life. And that's when our guy rolls up on his glowing superbike, looking like a hero arriving in the nick of time. He asks if they're okay, completely unaware that he just stole another man's thunder. The survivors are stunned, trying to figure out if they were just saved by a soldier on a bicycle. And just like that, the legend is born. The bike-riding, axe-throwing hero of the apocalypse. They immediately peg him as a soldier, because who else could pull off a move that insane? They're practically bowing to him, and he just awkwardly accepts the credit because what else is he gonna do? But then he drops the bomb. He's not a soldier, he's just a delivery guy for a company called PAX FC. They're still trying to process how a delivery guy on a bike just took out a flying monster. Turns out he's not the only one who got a system update. This guy's a driver, and our hero is all ears. But their relief is cut short by a question that hangs heavy in the dead city. Is anyone else left? The answer starts with a yes, but his face tells a much darker story. This wasn't just a monster attack, it was a slaughter, and only a handful of people made it out alive. And then they mention the weirdest thing. A whole building just vanished, and our guy tries his best to look innocent. So they offer him a spot in their underground bunker, promising safety from the monsters. They're offering snacks, but he's only interested in one thing they said: vehicles. Forget food and shelter, he's on a mission and he needs a ride, now. So he agrees to go, playing the part of the grateful hero while knowing this is a gamble that could get him killed. He plays along, but as they walk away, he makes sure to collect his prize. With a flash of light only he can see, the monster's mana stone zips right into his inventory. He's not worried because he's got an ace up his sleeve these guys know nothing about, his own private dimension. He tries to convince himself it's safe, completely ignoring the fact that their bunker has dead monsters in the driveway. And when they get inside, he sees the survivors aren't just hiding, they're fighting back hard. But then he locks eyes with their leader, and his internal danger sense goes into overdrive. Forget the monsters outside. The most dangerous thing in this room might be this guy. He quickly realizes this isn't a community of survivors. It's a fortress, and he just met the king. The leader brushes it off, acting like a monster in their parking garage is just another Tuesday. But then he tells a story about how they ambushed the orc, and our guy knows that's a complete and total lie. He's claiming the place isn't safe anymore, but our guy knows the only real danger here is the man telling the lies. And just like that, the cracks in the fortress start to show as one of his own men calls him out on his broken promises. The leader dodges the question, putting all the attention right back on the new guy in the room, and his new fan club is more than happy to sing his praises, calling him the hero who took down a wyvern. You can practically see the gears turning in the leader's head as he realizes this delivery boy is way more powerful than he looks. The legend grows with every retelling, painting him as a warrior so strong his own weapon shatters on impact. He's suddenly swarmed by grateful survivors, and our guy has no idea how to handle being the center of attention. They're treating him like a messiah, but all he wants is the keys to a car and a clear road to his family. He tries to play the humble hero, but he's a terrible actor, and they're buying every second of it. And of course, the hero worship immediately turns into an awkward matchmaking session, because even in the apocalypse, some things never change. The leader tries to play the friendly boss, but our guy knows a predator when he sees one. Meet Lee Jin-mok, the man in charge, and his smile doesn't reach his eyes. He thanks our hero with a grip that's a little too friendly, a little too firm. They offer him food and shelter, bragging about their endless supplies from a logistics center that no longer exists. He keeps mentioning the logistics center, completely unaware he's talking to the guy who stole it. But one of his men can't keep the secret any longer, and he's about to blow the whole story wide open. And there it is. The news that their entire food supply, their fortress, has vanished into thin air. The leader is in shock, learning the hard way that his men have been lying to him. The entire group descends into chaos, unable to believe a whole building could just disappear. But the leader just shrugs it off, saying in this new world, nothing is impossible. A little too calm for a man who just lost everything. With their food supply gone, all eyes turn to the leader, and our guy just tries to blend into the background. But the leader isn't panicking. He's rallying the troops for a suicide mission through a blocked tunnel. And just like that, the group is fired up, ready to charge headfirst into whatever's waiting for them. The leader finally lets him in on the plan. They're not just surviving, they're trying to escape the city entirely. They've got cars, but there's just one tiny problem. Every single road is a dead end. And their only way out is a tunnel that's become a 5-star resort for a whole flock of wyverns. So that's the plan. Dig through a monster-infested tunnel or starve to death in a concrete tomb. The leader tries to give him an out, telling him he can just leave on his bike, a polite way of saying get lost. But our hero isn't going anywhere, and he casually drops that a flock of wyverns is just a minor inconvenience for him. He plays the humble hero, but what he's really saying is, you need me and we both know it. He's playing the hero, but inside he knows he's holding all the cards and he's not about to show his hand. While he was hiding in his magic warehouse, these people were fighting for their lives, and that changes everything. He realizes they're just as paranoid as he is because in this new world, trust gets you killed. So he volunteers for a solo scouting mission, telling them he needs to go alone to clear the path. But his real plan is to cash in his monster loot and turn his 30-second cooldown into a 5-second spam button. And just when he thought he was overpowered, the system drops a new skill tree: precise, simultaneous, and automatic axe delivery. The only catch? These god-tier upgrades cost mana stones, and he's suddenly very interested in his bank account. The plan is simple. Tell them he's scouting, secretly farm the wyverns for parts, and come back with a major power-up. But just as he's about to head out, the guy he saved insists on giving him a ride. The guy won't take no for an answer, arguing that he can't let the hero who saved him go into a death trap alone. And just like that, he's not just a hero. He's their last hope, and the pressure is officially on. But then the driver drops a bombshell. He can't even see the system anymore, making our guy's powers even more of a mystery. So our hero gives him the keys, completely unfazed by the fact that this guy has no idea what he's doing. And then he immediately regrets that decision. Because his new chauffeur isn't driving the bike, he's surfing it like a lunatic. His brilliant excuse? He's too short to see over the cars, so this is just tactical driving. The joyride comes to a screeching halt when our hero spots something that makes his blood run cold. The driver panics about a wyvern, but our hero is staring into empty space, completely baffled. He's screaming that there's nothing there, but his new friend is frozen in pure terror. Yeah, about that. Turns out the monster was a lot closer than he thought. He screams at his new driver to just keep going, because looking back means getting eaten. But it's hard to ignore a land shark the size of a bus trying to take a bite out of your ride. They barely stay ahead, with the driver now pointing out their escape route like a madman. But our hero has a plan, telling him not to look back while secretly powering up his next move. They spot the tunnel, and for a second, it looks like this insane plan might actually work. But the bike screeches to a halt, because in the apocalypse, good news is always a trap. The high-speed chase is over, and an eerie silence falls over the road to the tunnel. His driver is confused, but our hero has already realized they didn't stop by choice. Yeah, they didn't just find the tunnel, they found the entire wyvern welcoming committee. And just like that, they've gone from the frying pan into a nest of very hungry dragons. The driver gives up, convinced they're about to become a buffet for a flock of wyverns. He knows they're too slow to run and too weak to fight. This is a dead end. And just as his new friend completely loses hope, our hero decides it's time to stop playing nice. He pulls up his system menu, ready to show his new partner what a delivery boy can really do. He's about to cash in his entire monster hunting savings for one hell of a party trick. The driver is completely baffled, watching him play with a magic screen while they're about to be eaten. But the wyverns aren't waiting for an explanation and lunge in for the final strike. The swarm descends, a whirlwind of teeth and claws ready to tear them apart. His partner screams, but our hero just closes his eyes, a picture of perfect calm. And with a single word, he unleashes the full, terrifying power of his infinite arsenal. He shields his new friend from the chaos, not with a weapon, but with a promise that the nightmare is over. The driver opens his eyes, not to his end, but to a world that suddenly makes no sense at all. Because our hero didn't just bring a weapon to a monster fight, he brought his entire 5-story monster-proof fortress. And his drone reminds him that even a god-tier power has a level cap, and he's just getting started. He just turned a wyvern nest into his own private front porch, and the view is spectacular. While his friend is having a panic attack, our guy is busy collecting the loot from the monsters he just wiped out. He lays down the new rule of the apocalypse: stick with him or you're on your own. And that's when the driver finally connects the dots between the hero and the mysteriously vanished building. But their moment of safety is shattered by a new threat, because the minions were just the appetizer. And now it's time for the main course, a boss monster that makes the others look like house pets. The boss monster screams, but it's not a war cry. It's the sound of our hero hitting the jackpot. But its friend is not impressed, and it's looking for a little payback. The monster charges, ready to finish them off, completely unaware it's about to run into a 5-story brick wall. His personal force field holds strong, turning the monster's bite into a pathetic headbutt. He's not just blocking the attack, he's sending a message that the food chain has officially been rearranged. But while he's busy with one, another one swoops in, aiming for the weakest link. The monster dives, ready for an easy meal, because it thinks it's found the one person who can't fight back. And for a split second, it looks like his new friend is about to be taken out of the picture. But our hero isn't letting his chauffeur get eaten, he's just recalling him to the safety of the warehouse. The monster is left completely stunned, watching its dinner get teleported away by a magic portal. The monster learns a hard lesson: don't headbutt the personal force field. And his new partner can only stare, his entire concept of reality completely shattered. He finally gets it, this isn't just an ability, it's a cheat code for the apocalypse. He doesn't understand how it works, but he knows he's looking at the most powerful man on Earth. Because for our hero, a flock of wyverns isn't a threat, it's just target practice. Suddenly, that monster-infested tunnel doesn't seem like a death trap anymore, it's just a speed bump. While they were fighting for every inch, our guy was just waiting for his powers to load. For everyone else, a vehicle is a lifeline. For him, it's just a faster way to get to the next level. And that's when the awe turns to envy, because they both have families they're desperate to save. But the driver can't help but wonder, just how far is this guy willing to go? The boss monster takes one look at our hero's new setup and decides it's not getting paid enough for this. His new friend realizes the wyvern isn't scared of the building. It's scared of the man who owns it. And just when he's complaining about being broke, the boss monster drops a mana stone the size of a car battery. He asks what the shiny rock is, and our hero has to explain the basic currency of this new broken world. And just like that, a fire is lit. This guy just found out that power isn't just given, it's earned. And that's when he realizes not all system users are created equal. Some guys have to get their hands dirty to get paid. The driver is still geeking out, realizing our hero's delivery service is actually a high-speed artillery system. But our hero plays it cool, admitting he was just planning a quiet solo run before things got loud. And the driver is hit with a wave of guilt, realizing he just blew our hero's secret mission wide open. He tries to apologize, but our hero just shrugs it off, because without a guide, he'd still be lost on level 1. He calls a temporary truce, but he knows that boss monster is just waiting for round 2. The driver asks where he's headed, and our hero lays it all out, a cross-country trip to save his family. But the mention of Gangnam makes the driver's blood run cold, because that's not just a district, it's a death trap. Turns out their paths just might cross, and the driver sees a golden opportunity he can't pass up. He asks for a ride-along, but what he's really asking for is a god-tier bodyguard to get him home. Our guy is completely blindsided. He just wanted a car, not a sidekick. The driver lays his cards on the table. He's the getaway driver, not the muscle, and he knows he won't survive alone. So he proposes the ultimate apocalypse partnership. You kill the monsters, and I'll make sure we outrun them. He even sweetens the deal with food, because he knows he's asking a god to be his personal chauffeur. And our hero realizes this isn't a burden, it's an asset. He realizes having a partner is the perfect cover story to keep his god-tier powers under wraps. Because if these guys find out what he can really do, they won't ask for his help. They'll demand it. But he decides to trust the driver, because in a world this broken, a little faith goes a long way. He agrees to the team up, but with one condition that changes the entire plan. He tells them he's clearing the tunnel solo because he doesn't need backup. He needs plausible deniability. And his new partner is more than happy to play the part of his personal publicist. He's not just agreeing, he's becoming the #1 fan of a hero he just met. And just like that, he goes from terrified survivor to the hype man for our hero's one-man army. He tells the group to just sit back and relax, because their new hero is about to perform a miracle. And our hero can only stare, realizing his new partner just told everyone his biggest secret. The survivors are not impressed, asking if they're really supposed to just wait while one guy solos a monster-infested death trap. His new partner screams, "Yes!" while our hero realizes his hype man just wrote a check his powers have to cash. But the leader isn't buying it, realizing this over-the-top story makes their new hero sound less like a savior and more like a con artist. So our guy doubles down, promising to clear the entire tunnel by morning, a bluff so big it might just get him killed. He knows they don't believe him, but with their food gone, he's their only shot and he's about to play that card for all it's worth. And just as he's planning his next move, the leader corners him for a little one-on-one chat. The leader plays it cool, saying he won't ask questions and trusts our hero's judgment. A little too trusting for a man this dangerous. But then comes the but, a promise of non-interference that feels more like a warning than an offer of help. And they present him with a gift, a box of their last remaining supplies. It's a test disguised as a thank you, a way to see if their new hero is a selfless savior or just another survivor looking out for number one. The leader lays it on thick, turning a thank you into an unbreakable contract. And just like that, the entire group bows, putting the weight of their survival squarely on his shoulders. He tries to refuse, but being a hero is a job he never applied for and can't quit. He tries to give back their last rations, but the leader isn't taking no for an answer. And then he drops the ultimate guilt trip. You think you're the only one with a family to save? The words hit him like a physical blow, reminding him of the one thing he's fighting for. Because every monster he kills, every risk he takes, is for the family he's praying is still alive. But with the tension at its peak, the survivors decide it's time to bring out their secret weapon. And their ultimate trump card for the end of the world is a couple of cold ones. This isn't a party, it's a final toast to the families they might never see again. They're toasting to him, the hero who's about to walk into a death trap for people he just met. He tells them not to worry because his solo mission is officially underway. But the leader's face says it all. He's not sure if he just sent a hero to his death or a liar to his escape. With one push of the pedal, he commits to a promise he might not be able to keep. One man, one bike against a monster-infested tunnel with the hopes of an entire shelter on his back. He makes a promise to return, but in this world, that's a check that's hard to cash. He rides into the darkness, leaving the last bit of daylight and his last chance to turn back behind him. And just inside, the welcoming committee is already waiting for their guest of honor. Yeah, this isn't a flock, it's an entire city of wyverns, and he just rode up to the front gate. But he's not scared, he's not panicking. He's calculating, because he's not looking at a death trap, he's looking at a monostone gold mine. But as he faces a legion of monsters, his mind flashes back to a different kind of battle. A time when his biggest problem wasn't a dragon, but his own sister. And his dad trying to play referee in a war that never, ever ended. His dad calls it sibling bonding, but it looks more like a cage match. But his dad sees something he can't, a connection he always wished he had. And he drops a piece of wisdom that's about to become our hero's entire reason for living. He's about to reveal the secret to everything. But the real boss of the house has a different lesson in mind. Dinner duty. And just like that, the sibling war is over, replaced by a much more universal fear. An angry mom with a ladle. And in the dark of the tunnel, that one word echoes in his mind, turning his suicide mission into a sacred promise. He's not just fighting for survival, he's fighting for them. But back at the bunker, the leader is having a complete meltdown, haunted by a family of his own. The fortress is falling apart from the inside, and it's not monsters doing the damage. Their tough-as-nails leader is reduced to a crying mess, and his men can only watch. And just like that, the party's over, leaving a trail of broken promises and passed-out survivors. But his new partner wakes up with a bad feeling, and it's not just the hangover. He looks around the garage and realizes their one-man army has gone missing. The others say he just went for fresh air, completely oblivious to the suicide mission he just accepted. But his new hype man isn't buying it, and he runs out into the darkness, terrified he's too late. He finds our hero ready to go and realizes the promise to clear the tunnel wasn't a bluff, it was a countdown. He can't sleep, but his new partner is about to find out he's been pulling an all-nighter for a very different reason. He tries to play it cool, but he just caught our hero in the middle of a secret operation. Because our hero wasn't just preparing for his solo mission, he was preparing to save everyone. His partner is speechless, but our guy acts like stalking an entire convoy is just another Tuesday. And when he says it's the last vehicle, his partner's brain just about short-circuits. Yeah, he didn't just bring snacks, he brought enough supplies to restart civilization with a fleet of 15 fully loaded trucks. He asks him to keep it quiet, but his new friend is starting to realize he's teamed up with a living, breathing cheat code. The question hangs in the air. Is he a hero, a god, or something else entirely? Meanwhile, in the tunnel, the welcoming committee learns a very hard lesson about getting in his way. He didn't come to clear a path. He came to turn their nest into a kill zone. He's turned his personal force field into a monster blender, and business is booming. The wyverns can scream all they want, but they can't even scratch the paint on his new mobile fortress. But clearing a tunnel is one thing. He's got a much bigger problem on his mind. And the system gives him the answer. His subspace is a one-man show, unless he's willing to pay the upgrade fee. The price tag for saving everyone? 100 mana stones, and he's not even halfway there. He does the math and realizes this entire tunnel doesn't have enough monsters to pay for the upgrade. The wyverns are already starting to run, and his gold mine is officially drying up. His family's safety is on the line, but just as he's about to run out of targets, the next wave of mana batteries decides to fly right to his front door. But this one's different. It's not attacking, it's watching, and it just figured out he's the one in charge. The boss wyvern isn't attacking, it's learning, and it just identified the apex predator in the room. But our guy just scoffs because to him, a dragon is just a bigger mana stone with wings. Meanwhile, back at the shelter, the survivors are placing all their bets on a man they barely know. They know helping is a death sentence, so their only move is to wait and pray their new hero isn't a liar. And just as their hope starts to fade, a shout cuts through the tension. Their savior is returning. He rides out of the tunnel alone, a one-man army who just conquered a death trap. And the proof of his victory is written all over him, a silent testament to the war he just won. His new partner can only stare, realizing the man he teamed up with isn't a hero. He's a force of nature. He emerges into the dawn, not as a survivor, but as the man who just rewrote the rules of the apocalypse. And the crowd goes wild, cheering for the delivery boy who just performed a miracle. The leader gives a surprisingly humble speech, finally sending his people on their way. And for the first time, they look at him not with fear, but with genuine respect. But our hero can't let them leave empty-handed, dropping a casual hint about a parting gift he left in the trucks. They have no idea he just turned their getaway vehicles into fully stocked mobile armories. And with that, the race for home officially begins for everyone. The convoy rolls out, a fleet of survivors set loose upon a broken world, all thanks to one man. He didn't just clear a tunnel, he gave every single one of them a fighting chance. They part ways, each survivor now a story waiting to be told, a family waiting to be found. And just like that, the fortress is empty, its people scattered to the winds on a road paved by a hero. But while everyone else celebrates their freedom, our guy is stuck on one thing, the boss monster that was smart enough to run. He's not just worried about the one that got away, he's realizing it was the leader of the pack. And he starts to wonder if these monsters have a hierarchy, because that changes the entire game. But their road trip is cut short by a sound that tells them they're not alone out here. The convoy grinds to a halt, finding their path blocked by the aftermath of a battle someone else lost. And they get a grim reminder that in this new world, even soldiers with guns aren't safe. But our hero knows there's no turning back, only forward, through whatever hell is waiting for them. His partner points out the obvious. The roads are a mess, and our hero's solo journey to his family just got a lot more complicated. Because seeing fallen soldiers means one thing. Whatever did this is way more powerful than they imagined. And right on cue, the monster responsible shows up to claim its territory. The sight hits a little too close to home, reminding him he was almost one of them. The road ahead is blocked, and it's not just a traffic jam. It's a full-blown military quarantine, and they're on the wrong side of it. His partner realizes the army wasn't trying to keep people in, they were trying to keep something out. But just as they're about to retreat, our hero spots something that changes the entire plan. Yeah, the road's not just blocked by cars, it's patrolled by a whole new brand of nightmare. And these things look like they skipped breakfast and are ready for a 5-course meal. While his driver is panicking, our guy is doing the math, and this roadblock just turned into a level-up opportunity. So he tells his driver to forget the main road and get ready for some extreme off-roading. It's a one-way ticket through a death trap, with no room for error and no chance to turn back. He's not asking if it's safe. He's asking if it's possible because he's driving straight into the monster's den. His driver sees a tight squeeze, but our hero sees the perfect shortcut. He tells his partner to forget turning back because he's just had a brilliant, terrible idea, and with a smile that's a little too wide, he points them directly into the heart of the monster nest. His partner thinks he's lost his mind, but our guy insists this isn't a detour, it's the only way forward. Because the welcoming committee is already waiting, and they look very, very hungry. The monsters charge, expecting an easy meal, completely unprepared for what's coming next. And just like that, their truck becomes a high-speed bowling ball, and the monsters are the pins. The driver is having a full-blown panic attack, trying to process the fact they just used a monster horde as a speed bump. But our hero just shrugs, confirming that yes, this was the plan all along. And then he casually asks about a video game, because for him, this isn't a death trap, it's just another level. He's not seeing a death trap, he's seeing his favorite tower defense map from a video game. And his partner is starting to realize our hero's plan is based entirely on video game logic. So he tells him to back it up, turning their truck into the perfect bait for his insane new strategy. And right on cue, the welcoming committee shows up, drooling and ready for dinner. He pulls up his system menu, ready to finally use an upgrade he's been saving for a rainy day. He's not just upgrading, he's going all in, telling his system to spend every last mana stone he's got. But he's not buying a weapon, he's upgrading his shipping speed to 100 kilometers an hour. With a portal glowing behind him, he basically invites the entire horde over for a snack. The monsters take the bait, charging headfirst into what they think is an easy meal. And that's when he introduces them to his new favorite weapon, a high-speed air-dropped refrigerator. He's not just clearing a path, he's weaponizing home appliances, and the monsters never saw it coming. And just like that, the system pays out, turning monster bashing into a profitable side hustle. He looks on like a proud parent, realizing he's just invented the world's most brutal delivery service. He could have used his axe, but he's already found a critical flaw in his own god-tier power. Turns out his precision delivery isn't a heat-seeking missile, it's just a really good guess. And against monsters this fast, a good guess is just a fancy way of saying miss. He realized his axe was too slow, too small. He was bringing a knife to a monster horde fight. But an axe can be dodged. A flying refrigerator, on the other hand, has a much bigger hitbox. It doesn't even need to be a direct hit. The sheer force is enough to send them flying. And with his new automatic shipping upgrade, he's turned this death trap into his own personal assembly line of destruction. He's not even watching the carnage anymore. He's just telling his AI to keep the appliance apocalypse going. The monsters are learning a valuable lesson. Never, ever get between a delivery guy and his route. And his partner is having a complete system meltdown, realizing the axe thrower has a whole new, much weirder arsenal. His brain tries to do the math, but infinite refrigerators isn't a number his apocalypse-addled mind can compute. He knows the axes get recalled, but he's pretty sure refrigerators don't have a return policy. And just as he's about to have a full-blown existential crisis, our hero casually offers him a snack from the murder truck. He can barely get the name out, but our guy just answers like he was asked for the time, not the secrets of the universe. And then he asks the one question that could break reality. Is your stock infinite? Our hero's response is a casual, "Oh, you didn't know?" and the driver's entire worldview shatters. He thought our guy was reloading his axes, but the truth is so much worse. He was just tidying up the battlefield so his friend wouldn't trip. And with a single word, our hero confirms the impossible. His personal warehouse has no bottom. So with monsters literally flying past their window, he opens up his personal post-apocalyptic 7-Eleven. The driver is hit with a wave of shame, realizing he doubted the man who just offered him a donut in a death trap. Our hero offers him the world from the back of his truck, but his new partner is just grateful to be alive. And just like that, the finish line is in sight. His family is just one bridge away from being saved. But even with his goal in sight, his first thought is for the hero who's making it all possible. Then he realizes you can't have a happy family reunion when you look like you just wrestled a garbage disposal. So our hero decides it's time for a wardrobe change because his magic truck is also a mobile department store. His partner can only laugh, realizing he's getting a full apocalypse makeover from a delivery guy. But then the driver gets a glint in his eye because he's not looking for a new shirt. He's looking for an upgrade. He's not just a driver anymore. He's got the look of a man who knows he's riding with a god. Our hero says most of their problems are solved, but he's looking at his partner like he's the last one. With a new outfit comes new confidence, and he's ready to put the pedal to the metal. And just like that, their murder truck becomes a monster-crushing battering ram. Our hero immediately regrets letting his new, over-caffeinated partner take the wheel, because their shortcut involves turning their 10-ton truck into a low-orbit satellite. He promises it'll only take 20 minutes, but his driver looks like he's not going to survive the first 5. They're not just driving through the city, they're literally flying over it. The new action hero is officially regretting his life choices, begging for the ride to stop. But our guy just looks back, completely deadpan, as if he's about to ask him if he wants another donut. The world's most chaotic road trip finally ends, but one look at his home tells him the real fight is just about to start.
He tells himself the building is just old, but we all know that's a lie he's desperate to believe.
The entire district is a ghost town, but he's only focused on one thing: getting home. But here's the creepy part. No bodies, not a single one, which is even more terrifying than a massacre. He's at the door, repeating the same mantra. They're safe. They have to be safe. But his hand freezes because what if opening this door confirms his absolute worst fear? And that's when our boy realizes the truth. This man is too terrified to face what's on the other side. This guy broke every speed limit, driven by pure love and desperation to get to them. He ran all this way, but now he's stuck because the thought of finding them gone is too much to bear. And our MC gets it. In that situation, with that much on the line, he wouldn't be able to open it either. So he steps in, offering a moment of comfort, thinking one single heartbreaking thought: I wish it had been me. So our MC steps up, offering to press the button that this man is too terrified to touch. The guy is so wrecked he can barely process the offer, caught between total fear and a flicker of hope. He agrees because that 1% chance they're okay is better than a 100% confirmation that they're not. And our boy understands perfectly. He'd rather delay the truth forever than face it alone. With a final nod, he turns to the door, ready to end the suspense one way or another. All the man can do is whisper his consent, his entire world hanging on this single moment. As his hand reaches out, the man begs one last time, bracing for the absolute worst. And then, just as he's about to press it, the lock clicks and the door swings open on its own. Bam, against all odds, his family is standing right there, completely unharmed. The relief is so intense, so unbelievable, that for a moment his wife can only ask if he's even real. The dam of pure, unfiltered relief finally breaks, and in that moment, the entire world shrinks down to this one perfect, impossible embrace. But the happy reunion gets a little awkward when they finally notice the stranger who was about to break down their door. Still sobbing, he asks the one question that doesn't add up. How did you know I was out here? Her answer is simple. She saw him through the peephole, which makes you wonder what she saw before he arrived. Even his daughter's giving him the business because I was scared to death sounds a lot like I hate you when you're a kid. And just when you think it's all happy families, the man finally turns to introduce his mysterious helper. He calls our MC a benefactor, and that's the trigger word for the trap to spring. Bam! Our boy gets blasted back by an unseen force, the reunion turning into an ambush. The man he just saved calls out his real name, revealing this entire tearful reunion was a calculated, brutal trap. And the man he just saved stands over him, not as a friend but as his judge, jury, and executioner. As our boy's consciousness fades, his mind flashes back to a different time he was betrayed, a memory he's been trying to bury. We're thrown into the past at a funeral where a young Jeong-gyeom asks the man who will one day betray him a devastatingly innocent question, and Mr. Kim, the future traitor, gives him a lesson on loss that sounds profound, but is actually the blueprint for his cruelty. He uses his own mother's funeral to teach a twisted lesson about gratitude and regret. He tells this kid that goodbyes don't have to be sad, which is a real easy thing to say when you're the one planning the ambush. The kid, bless his heart, actually buys it, asking if gratitude is all his mentor feels. And here's the kicker. He claims he learned about selfless love, the very thing our MC showed him right before the trap sprung. He ends the lesson with a chilling promise. One day, you'll understand just how hard love is. And just as we're processing that, the memory shatters into a completely different kind of violence. The kind that teaches you trust is for fools. We flash back to a simpler time, when the biggest threat was a pillow fight with his sister. And Jeong-gyeom, even back then, was a total drama queen about it. His sister Kim Seoul is having none of it, calling him out for being a crybaby. He pulls the classic "I'm telling dad" move, but his sister just takes the victory lap. And who's watching this whole thing? Mr. Kim, giving another one of his speeches about the preciousness of family. The scene is so perfectly domestic, so full of love, you almost forget this is the family that set him up. Even at the dinner table, the picture of a perfect family is almost sickeningly sweet. Joo-yeon fires back with the classic middle school defense, but mom's already onto her, teasing about a crush. Turns out his sister's always been a fan of brutal takedowns, which in hindsight is a massive red flag. And as they talk about the future, you realize every single one of these happy memories is a lie, a prelude to the day they'd turn on him. And Mr. Kim, ever the helpful mentor, suggests a new hobby for our boy, one that will teach him all about taking a hit. The memory blurs, and we land in middle school, the place where all good intentions go to die. He's so full of hope, thinking this is his fresh start, a brand new chapter. The first day of middle school, the day everything was supposed to change for the better. But even on his first day, the shadow of his mentor is never far behind, watching. He's ready to take on the world, completely clueless that the world is about to take him on first. He's just a kid, happy about his new uniform, enjoying the last moment of peace he'll have for a long, long time. And just like that, reality comes crashing in, one punch at a time. Turns out, His mentor's advice to get stronger was just an invitation for the school's worst to use him as a punching bag. Welcome to middle school, kid, where your dreams of a new life get stomped out on day one. The beatdown continues, because of course it does. This is middle school, not a fairy tale. But just as the next hit is about to land, a hand shoots out of nowhere and stops the punch cold. And our boy's savior is a guy with the most terrifyingly bored expression you've ever seen. His rescuer's idea of a thank you? A cheerful invitation to morning exercise, and which sounds a lot like a threat? And just like that, Jeong-gyeom realizes he's been saved by someone even scarier than the bullies. This exercise turns out to be a brutal, relentless training from hell designed to break him down completely. But years later, it looks like it all paid off. He's got friends, confidence, and for the first time, a real smile. He even gets into his dream school, a single text message that feels like a ticket to a brand new life. The whole family celebrates, another picture-perfect memory that we now know is built on a foundation of lies. And then, a voice from the shadows cuts through the happiness, signaling that the good times are officially over. The time for what? Our boy asks, and Mr. Kim pulls out the final piece of his master plan. It's not a gift, it's a one-way ticket designed to get him out of the picture for good. And in a single moment, Jeong-gyeom's entire future gets ripped right out of his hands. Because his loving family just fast-tracked his military enlistment, and the goodbye is already here. His mom begs him to be safe, completely oblivious that the real danger is the man standing right next to her. He puts on a brave face, because what else can you do when your own family is shipping you off? And as he walks away, he's not just leaving for the army, he's walking straight into the next phase of their trap. They wave goodbye like a normal family, but we know this isn't a see you later. It's a permanent eviction. The tough guy act finally shatters because he genuinely thinks he's leaving behind people who love him. And as the memory fades, our boy finally understands. Every single moment of happiness was just another nail in his coffin. He snaps back to consciousness, not in a hospital, but on the cold, hard floor of the apartment where he was betrayed. His mind is a mess, scrambling for answers, but the memory of the attack is a hazy, painful blur. The last thing he remembers clearly is the blast that sent him flying, a final gift from his mentor. A voice pulls him back to reality, and it's the last one he ever expected to hear again. He looks up, and the trader's family is just having dinner, like he wasn't just attacked 5 feet away. They look at him with mild curiosity, as if finding a man passed out on their floor is a totally normal Tuesday night. The scene is so sickeningly domestic it feels like a hallucination, a perfect family portrait with a broken man in the corner. He's trapped in this bizarre play, and he has no idea what his role is supposed to be. But then the plot twists again. Mr. Kim, the man who ambushed him, is lying unconscious on the floor. And the wife's story? He just collapsed. The gaslighting is so blatant, it's almost an art form. He's back on his feet, weapon in hand, trying to make sense of a scene that's gone from ambush to family dinner? His first question isn't why, but how long, because his memory of the attack is already a black hole. 3 hours, she says, as if he just took a nap instead of getting blasted into next week. The gaslighting is next level. And now she's thanking him, spinning a story about how he's the hero who brought her husband home. They're laying the gratitude on so thick, he can't even process the betrayal that just happened. He's still trying to be the good guy, completely unaware that every polite word is just tightening the noose. And look who's awake, the traitor himself playing the victim and thanking our boy for saving his life. They're not just gaslighting him, they're inviting him to dinner, because nothing says I just tried to end you like a home-cooked meal. That smile isn't gratitude, it's a promise. The real trap hasn't even sprung yet. And our boy, completely out of options, agrees to one last meal with the family that wants him gone for good. The Last Supper is served, and it's a dish that stops our boy cold in his tracks. The wife plays the perfect hostess, apologizing for the humble meal, but we all know this isn't about hospitality. And then they hit him with the creepiest line yet. We'll leave you to eat alone. He's trapped at a table for one, with his captor practically ordering him to take the first bite. With no other move to make, he takes a spoonful, knowing this bite could be his last. But instead of poison, he's hit with a wave of pure divine flavor that rocks his entire world. And that's when it hits him. This isn't just any meal, it's a memory on a plate. Every single ingredient is a clue, a flavor profile so specific it could only come from one person. This isn't just cozy, it's the taste of his real family, a recipe he thought he'd lost forever. He finishes the bowl, the pieces of the puzzle finally clicking into place, and you know he's about to flip the entire script. This isn't just food, it's a message from his past, and he just decoded it. The trader's son tries to pin him down on his destination, but our boy's already playing 4D chess. And just like that, the family that tried to end him is now offering him a ride. Talk about a plot twist. He lays on the guilt trip thick, painting his wife as a saint, but this whole story stinks of another setup. But our boy flips the script, demanding more, and suddenly this selfless act comes with a price tag. And with 3 simple words, the conversation moves outside, where the real deals and threats are made. The new plan, a cozy road trip in a giant truck with the guy whose family just ambushed him, totally not a trap. And the big scary condition, an electric bicycle. This is either the world's lamest deal or a genius-level misdirection. He's playing the part of the guilt-ridden son perfectly, promising a fast ride like he's not the reason our boy is in this mess. But our boy isn't buying the nice guy act for a second, because he knows the real price is something much bigger than a bike. Our boy calls him out, asking the one question that exposes the entire lie. Why are you taking this risk? The trader brags about his sick bike skills, but even he admits this whole road trip is basically a suicide run. He lays out the logic. Once our boy is safe, there's no reason for the trader to keep risking his own neck. But Jeong-gyeom cuts right through the act, reminding him this entire journey was for his family, not the other way around. And then he drops the million-dollar question that makes the trader flinch. So why are you helping me? Young-soo deflects with a slick smile, throwing our boy's own good deed right back in his face. He asks, why did you help me? Turning this into a masterclass of psychological warfare. The trader lays it on thick, claiming he would have been a goner in that tunnel without our boy's help. So this whole thing is just him returning the favor, a debt he's paying back before presumably trying to kill him again. And for the final manipulation, he tries to sell them as equals. We're both just trying to get home. Yeah, right. The trader tries to build a bridge, saying they're both just desperate men trying to protect their families. He's trying to sell this we're the same narrative, hoping our boy is dumb enough to buy it. Then comes the friendly offer to help each other, sealed with a laugh that's about as genuine as a $3 bill. But don't worry, he also promises to ditch our boy at the first sign of trouble. What a stand-up guy. With the deal sealed, Young-soo's family waves a cheerful goodbye, but this whole scene feels like a badly rehearsed play. But as he leaves, Jeong-gyeom spots it. The keys to the truck, conveniently left hanging in the broken window. This isn't a mistake, it's an invitation, and our boy knows exactly what kind of game they're playing, so he rides off, playing the part of the fool who fell for the trap. But that little smile says it all. He's not just walking into their plan, he's about to hijack it. And just as Young-soo thinks he's gotten away with it, our boy calls his name, and the hunter is about to become the hunted. Our boy flips the script, laying out his own terms and reminding the trader who really holds the power here. His demand? This isn't a one-stop drop-off. It's a full-blown family reunion tour, and the trader is his personal chauffeur. And here's the kicker. He offers the ultimate protection, a pocket dimension big enough for Young-soo's entire family. The offer is on the table. Join the mission, and your family gets a first-class ticket to safety. He's not just making promises, he's showing his hand, a mutual protection pact where everyone gets out alive. The trader just laughs, and for a second you can't tell if he's impressed or just planning his next betrayal. But the deal is too good to refuse, and just like that, the trader agrees to bring his family into the fold. With a fresh pair of shades and a killer smile, the trader is all in, ready for their brand new high-stakes road trip. And to seal the deal, our boy immediately cashes in his points for a system upgrade because new alliances require new power. The upgrade is a success, but he's not focused on the stats. He's focused on the fact that he now has the perfect bait to keep his new ally in line. The system asks for permission, and with one click, our boy officially owns the family that tried to kill him. He opens the portal, and just like that, the traders are stepping into the 5-star prison he just built for them. And their reaction is pure shock, because they just walked into a safe haven provided by the guy they ambushed hours ago. Welcome to the Pocket Dimension, a private Costco warehouse of infinite supplies and the world's most luxurious cage. And just to rub it in, he's got a cute little AI butler named Pax to run the place. He lays out the perks: personal assistant, on-demand delivery, basically Amazon Prime in the apocalypse, courtesy of their target. The wife can't believe it, asking if they can really use all this, because in her world, nothing this good comes for free. And then he drops the ultimate flex. Everything here is infinite. You can practically see her brain short-circuit. He gives them 30 minutes to settle in, but make no mistake, this isn't a vacation. It's a pit stop before the real mission begins. The traitor plays the doting father, but our boy's smile says it all. Enjoy the peace while it lasts, because you work for me now. He leaves them to their 5-star prison, but his smile says it all. Enjoy the snacks because you work for me now. And now that the guests are settled, it's time to check out his brand new toys. Boom! The system offers a subspace lab, a personal R&D department for the apocalypse. He flashes back to his original power, a simple one-item storage space that was his only trump card. But that one item made him untouchable, a perfect, impenetrable shield against any threat. Then came the PAX AI, which didn't just upgrade his system, it completely rewrote the rules of his power. Suddenly, his storage wasn't just for defense. It became a cannon that could launch items at deadly speeds. He's cruising through hell with a smirk, because he thought his power was already broken, but he had no idea what was coming. Because leveling up didn't just add features, it upgraded the very foundation of his ability. He can store more items, but the system drops a bombshell. That's not even the best part. Forget storage, he can now literally craft reality itself in his own private lab. He's realizing this isn't just an upgrade, it's a whole new level of power, the ability to create something from nothing. He's got the keys to a god-tier power-up, but he's broke and can't afford the entry fee. So for now, he's back to basics, the one simple trick that started this whole mess. He remembers the first time he broke the rules, storing something massive and realizing his power had no limits. And that's when the most insane, ambitious, and utterly ridiculous idea pops into his head. He looks at the entire planet and thinks, you know what? I'm going to put that in my pocket. With zero hesitation, he gives the command, ready to either break the game or break reality itself. And the system basically says, dude, chill. Even for you, that's a bit much. He's laughing it off when his ally interrupts, and just like that, playtime is officially over. And just like that, the traitor is playing navigator. But our boy knows every road on this map leads to another trap. He's trying to sell a safe route, but we all know the only thing he's plotting is another betrayal. Our boy calls him out because doting father and homicidal traitor don't exactly go hand in hand. And there she is, sleeping soundly in the apocalypse-proof Costco, completely unaware her dad is a monster. He claims she feels safe, which is just a polite way of saying, thank you for not killing us, yet. They're trading fake pleasantries, pretending this is a partnership and not a hostage situation with extra steps. And then the traitor drops the most terrifying line yet. I'll do whatever I can to help you. That's the moment our boy's internal alarm starts screaming, because sincerity from this guy is a massive red flag. He puts on his shades and promises a fast ride, which is code for, hold on, we're about to break the sound barrier. Jeong-gyeom begs him to slow down, but the traitor just grins and says, repaying a favor is supposed to be fast. The traitor hits the gas with tears streaming down his face, and that's the most terrifying smile I've ever seen. They're now barreling through the apocalypse at a speed that screams, I have nothing left to lose. And their ride? A massive truck that's perfect for plowing through obstacles or setting up a new one. The traitor points out how quiet it is, but our boy knows a safe road in the apocalypse is just a fancy name for a trap. Turns out this shortcut is an undeveloped historical site, the perfect place to make someone disappear. The traitor promises it's safe, but Jeong-gyeom's gut is screaming that this road trip is about to take a very sharp, very deadly turn. The quiet road finally opens up to the city ruins, and you just know the peace and quiet is about to end. And what do they find? Military barricades and spike strips, because of course the safe route leads straight into a dead end. The traitor suggests a nearby military base, but our boy isn't buying that this is an official checkpoint. And he's right to be suspicious because those barricades weren't set up to keep monsters out, they were set up to keep people in. The gear is military grade, but our boy's gut is screaming that this is an imposter. And he's right. These aren't soldiers, they're scavengers who hit the apocalypse jackpot. The traitor is losing his mind, but our boy is already 5 steps ahead, realizing they've been watched this whole time. His plan? Hide the liability in his pocket dimension and handle this little welcoming party himself. His logic is cold but flawless. If they wanted him dead, they would have shot already, which means they want what's in the truck. And just like that, he's alone, facing down 3 armed men who think he's just another easy mark. But the bandit's first words aren't a threat, they're a complaint. He's mad our boy didn't pop his own tires on their spike strip. The leader's got no time for questions, treating our boy like an idiot who stumbled into their territory. And there it is, the demand. Get out and open the cargo. But he's talking to the one guy you should never give orders to. So they open it themselves and are hit with the sight of a lifetime, a truck full of enough supplies to make them kings. The bandits hit the mother lode, and they think our boy is just some lucky delivery driver who stumbled into their web. They try to play tough, asking if it's all his, and he just plays right into their hands with a single perfect lie. The leader makes the rules clear. What's yours is now mine. But our boy already knew this was the play. But this guy's not just a thug, he's smart enough to ask the one question that matters. Where did you get this? Our boy plays it cool, giving them a vague answer that basically translates to none of your business. Then he flips the entire script, turning a robbery into a business proposition. You want more? I'm your guy. The leader's greed takes over, because the promise of an infinite food supply is too good to pass up. But just as the deal is getting interesting, his goon announces they're out of time, and suddenly this whole encounter has a deadline. The negotiation is officially over, and when he says grab the hood, you know this isn't about supplies anymore. And there's the twist. They don't just want the truck, they want the driver, and our boy just became the most valuable asset they've ever found. But they made one critical mistake. They thought our boy was the prey, not the predator. That's the face of a man who just realized he brought a gun to a fight with a god. Turns out our boy wasn't their first recruit of the day, and this new guy looks a lot less confident. And we finally get a peek behind the curtain, meeting the so-called commander of this little apocalypse kingdom. The new guy is brought in for his job interview, and from the looks of it, there's only one wrong answer. This isn't just some scavenger, he's running a full-blown military operation with himself at the top. And a quick glance around the room tells you exactly what happens to the employees who don't meet their quota. Our boy puts the pieces together and realizes he didn't just stumble into a robbery, he walked into a slaughterhouse. The commander finally turns his attention to our boy, ready to get the answer to the one question that matters. And Jeong-gyeom, cool as ever, confirms their wildest dream. He's the key to an infinite supply, and he just delivered himself to their door. The commander gives him a backhanded compliment, but our boy is already calculating his next move. Meanwhile, the other recruit is just now realizing he's woken up in the middle of a nightmare. The boss man tries to play it cool, but he can't even remember the name of the base he's taken over. But the new guy knows exactly where they are, and that little detail is about to become very important. The commander admits he's just a civilian playing soldier, confirming this whole operation is a sham. But our boy cuts through the tension with a cryptic warning. The guy will be here soon. And right on cue, the commander hears something approaching and announces, "It's already here." Jeong-gyeom's eyes go wide because he recognizes that sound, and it's the last thing you ever want to hear. Because this isn't a zombie apocalypse anymore, they've got dragons. And these aren't just any dragons, this is a full-blown invasion, and they're heading straight for the base. The new guy is having a complete meltdown, because that's not just a dragon, it's a kaiju with wings. And the commander just casually admits he barely survived a fight with it, which tells you everything you need to know about his power level. But here's the mystery. He says his attacks were blocked, like the monster had some kind of invisible shield. He points to a soldier who's been taken out of the fight, explaining that guns are completely useless against this thing. So he did what any rational opportunist would do. He saw the military failing, so he just took over the whole base. And don't worry, he hasn't gotten rid of the original soldiers yet. He's just letting them expire on their own. So here's the job offer. He's sending our boy on a food run, a suicide mission with a side of fries.
The deal is simple. Survive the mission, and you get to join his little post-apocalyptic family.
But our boy isn't thinking about joining a new family. He's thinking this base would make a perfect addition to his collection. And with a single command to his AI, he decides to put the entire military headquarters in his pocket, leaving the commander utterly speechless. The commander hits him with the classic join or die offer, not realizing he's talking to the new owner of the building. And just like that, the commander's entire world vanishes, leaving him with nothing but a dumb look on his face. His goons are just as clueless, staring at the empty patch of dirt where their fortress used to be. He asks what just happened, because my new recruit just stole my entire military base isn't in the bad guy handbook. Even the other hostage is like, where did the giant, heavily armed building go? But our boy is paying the price. Turns out, pocketing a military base gives you one hell of a headache. He knows he needs to break free fast because the goons are finally noticing something way more terrifying than a disappearing building. And that's the sound of the apocalypse's Air Force making its grand entrance. The sky fills with monsters, and suddenly, a disappearing base is the least of their problems. Because the thing the commander was so scared of is here, and it brought the whole family. The sky splits open with a roar, and our boy realizes this isn't just a monster, it's a boss fight. The commander's tough guy act evaporates as his entire crew scatters like cockroaches. He's screaming orders, trying to rally his terrified goons, but you can't fight a kaiju with a handgun. And just when you think he's all talk, he claims his special ability can actually stop this thing. But his own men have other plans, like running for their lives, leaving their commander to face the music alone. And the dragon isn't even looking at the commander. It's locked onto the other recruit, the one who knew where they were. The monster towers over him, not like prey, but like it's greeting an old friend or its master. And then the biggest twist yet, the recruit grabs our boy and pulls him into a portal, leaving the commander to become dragon food. Turns out this wasn't a rescue, it was an extraction, and our boy just welcomed his new, very powerful ally into his private dimension. He's safe, but pocketing an entire military base has its price, and he's learning that his god-tier power comes with one hell of a hangover. They've escaped into the pocket dimension, but the shadow of the dragon follows them in. And that's the face of the monster that was about to turn the commander into a chew toy. But our boy notices his new savior isn't scared. He's staring at the dragon with a look that's way too familiar. Meanwhile, back in the real world, the commander decides he's not going down without a fight. He's screaming about his level-ups, ready to punch a literal dragon in the face because his ego is bigger than his survival instinct. And as our heroes make their final exit, the commander calls them cowards for not staying to get vaporized. But wait, the commander's special ability actually works, trapping the kaiju in an energy field. Just as the action heats up, our boy finally crashes from the strain, and look who's suddenly playing the concerned friend again. He's fine, but he's got a new unconscious party member and he needs answers. The rescuer gives a sob story about being a captured soldier, playing the part of a victim so perfectly you almost forget he commands dragons. So now they've got a new unconscious guest, and it looks like he had a very, very bad day at the office. The rescuer claims the commander's thugs did this, sticking to his helpless soldier story with an award-winning performance. And Jeong-gyeom, bless his heart, is already planning a welcome to the Costco dimension meal for the new guy. But the tour gets interrupted when the rescuer spots a brand new skyscraper that definitely wasn't there 5 minutes ago. He's pointing out the window and his face just screams, "Did you just illegally download a building?" And it's not just any building, it's the entire military fortress they just fled, now parked in his pocket dimension. Our boy just drops the most casual flex of all time. "Yeah, I brought the base with us. Didn't realize it was a high-rise." The rescuer's jaw hits the floor, finally understanding that his new partner isn't just powerful, he breaks reality for a living. But our boy's got no time for awe, leaving the new guy on babysitting duty while he goes to explore his new toy. And as he walks away, the rescuer is left to wonder if he was saved by a hero or captured by a god. His new ally is still reeling, asking the one question on everyone's mind: what the hell do you do with a stolen military base? And our boy's answer is simple: literally anything I want. He's basically touring his new apocalypse-proof kingdom, fully stocked with everything you need to win. But then reality hits. Unlike his magical Costco, this new toy comes with an instruction manual he has to write himself. There's no AI butler here, no magic delivery service. This is the DIY version of a fortress. So now he's stuck playing the world's most dangerous game of hide-and-seek just to find the armory. And the place is massive, which leads to problem number 2. His only backup is the traitor who can't even shoot straight. But just as he's stressing, his other new ally jumps in, offering to be his personal ammo runner. Our boy is already thinking 5 steps ahead, realizing their biggest problem isn't finding the gear, but the fact that it's not infinite. And just as he's worrying about the details, a drone pops up with a message from his AI. "Don't worry, I already took care of it." His AI just confirmed the military base is getting the same infinite supply treatment as the Costco. And his new ally is just now realizing he teamed up with a guy who breaks the laws of physics for a living. Pax lays it out. Once the scan is complete, everything in that base becomes part of his personal, infinite arsenal. And our boy finally gets it. He doesn't just have a pocket dimension, he has an infinite ammo cheat code. And the little drone just confirms he's about to become the most well-armed man on the planet. But there's a catch. The system is still buffering, and his new war chest is only 0.81% loaded. When he asks for an ETA, the system basically says, it'll be ready when it's ready, leaving him in suspense. So he gives his AI a new shopping list: guns, grenades, and fuel, all the essentials for winning the apocalypse. But then he adds the most important command: make sure he's the only one with the keys to the armory. Because while he's got a new team, he knows trust is a luxury he still can't afford. He's all geared up, hoping the apocalypse outside has magically fixed itself while he was gone. And nope, he opens the portal to find a welcoming committee of two very large, very angry dragons. Yeah, resolving itself is officially off the table because the entire dragon family tree just showed up. He realizes running is not an option, and that big one in the back looks like the final boss of this level. So with his back against the wall, he decides there's only one way out of this: straight through them. Cut to the armory where the traitor is suiting up like he's in an action movie, complaining about coming out of retirement. Our boy's battle plan is simple. If your gun jams, throw it away because he's got an infinite supply. He throws some serious shade, asking the traitor if he even remembers which end the bullets come out of. But the traitor is practically buzzing, excited to finally have something to aim at besides our hero's back. And with a killer smile, he promises a live demonstration that's going to be way more fun than talking. And the traitor opens fire, lighting up the sky and turning these dragons into modern art. Turns out the guy's a natural, mowing down monsters like he's been waiting his whole life for this. The barrel's still smoking, because when you have infinite ammo, you don't worry about overheating. He's not even scared, just complaining that his trigger finger is getting a workout. They stand over a field of fallen monsters, thinking the job is done and they've actually won. But our boy's face says it all. This was way, way too easy. He drops the bomb. It's not over, and suddenly the victory party is canceled. Because all the small fries are down, but the final boss is mysteriously MIA. And that's when they realize the boss wasn't missing. It was just waiting for them to turn their backs. But it's not attacking, it's just watching, like it's studying the portal with an intelligence that is deeply, deeply wrong. The traitor is on high alert because the biggest, baddest monster on the field just pulled a disappearing act. So our boy comes up with a plan. Send out a decoy to see if the coast is clear. The strategy is simple. If it takes the bait, they light it up like the 4th of July. But the traitor's got a point. What kind of toy is going to fool a kaiju? Our boy just smiles and says, I've got an idea. And his brilliant idea is to send out a remote-controlled mannequin on a toy car. I'm not even kidding. They send their little crash test dummy out into the world, waiting to see what bites. And the bait works a little too well, as the boss monster instantly turns their decoy into abstract art. The traitor is stunned. Not only was it hiding, but it just got a free sample of their firepower. And now the monster is staring them down, and you just know it's not happy about the cheap appetizer. The dragon unleashes hell, and our heroes are about to find out what happens when you're on the wrong end of a kaiju's temper tantrum. Our boy takes aim, ready to give this monster a taste of infinite ammo. The traitor screams the order, and they unload everything they've got. But their bullets bounce off an invisible shield, because of course this thing has a force field. And now it's the dragon's turn to fire back, lighting up the entire battlefield. The traitor's gun is smoking, but he's about to find out they just made it angry. Because the real boss just showed up and it is not happy. And it's not just attacking, it's trying to follow them right into their safe haven. The monster's skin glows with a hexagonal pattern, confirming their worst fear. It's completely bulletproof. They're staring in disbelief, realizing they've been shooting at a walking, flying tank. And that's when Jeong-gyeom remembers the commander's warning. This isn't just a monster, it's a puzzle they have to solve. He realizes this isn't armor, it's a force field, and they've been shooting at a walking fortress. And just to make things fair, the boss brought its angriest, loudest child to the party. So our boy decides if bullets won't work, maybe a few dozen grenades will get its attention. He lays down the challenge. Let's see what breaks first, your shield or our infinite arsenal. And he drops the coldest line of the apocalypse with a smirk. By the way, we're limitless here. The battlefield lights up, but the monster just roars through the fire like it's taking a warm bath. The traitor goes full action hero, tossing explosives like he's trying to win a prize at the carnival. But the monster's got a plan of its own. Turn their grenades into a mid-battle snack. The world goes white as the explosives detonate, and for a second, it looks like they might have actually won. But as the smoke clears, our boy is left staring into the dust, and his face tells us the real fight is just beginning. The traitor's already complaining about a sore shoulder, because apparently saving the world is bad for your joints. But our boy isn't celebrating because he knows that much firepower should have done way more than just make a lot of noise. And as the smoke clears, they realize they didn't kill the monster. They just got its attention. It emerges from the blast without a scratch, looking less like it was attacked and more like it was mildly inconvenienced. They threw everything they had at it, and all they managed to do was give its force field a light exfoliation. That's the face of a man who just realized he brought an infinite supply of pea shooters to a kaiju fight. But instead of finishing them off, the monster just turns and flies away, leaving them completely baffled. Our boy knows they didn't win, they were dismissed, and that's 1,000 times more terrifying. The trader's ready to hit the road, bragging about his night driving skills like he didn't just almost become a dragon's chew toy. And so they drive off into the night, completely unaware that the monster didn't retreat, it just went to report back to its boss. They're driving in silence, because how do you make small talk after fighting a literal kaiju? He's replaying the fight, realizing their infinite arsenal was just an infinite supply of spitballs against that thing. The problem isn't the size of the boom, it's that the monster's armor is just built different. So he thinks, what if I just launch something bigger? But that comes with a whole new set of problems. Because when your solution is to level an entire city block, you're not a hero anymore, you're just the next disaster. And he realizes the scariest part of this apocalypse isn't the monsters, it's what you have to become to survive them. He needs a weapon with no collateral damage, and suddenly remembers he has the universe's most powerful railgun in his pocket. But for now, he decides to focus on what he can control, leveling up until he's too strong to fail. He checks his rewards from the dragon fight, hoping for enough points to buy a new skill or two. But the system didn't just give him a reward, it gave him the entire jackpot, and the game is about to change forever. He's staring at his reward screen because the system just made it rain apocalypse dollars. He realizes that kaiju wasn't just a boss, it was a walking, flying ATM machine. So he immediately goes on a shopping spree, doubling the range of his personal railgun. The price is getting steeper, but his power level is going through the roof, and he's still got cash to burn. And with his newfound wealth, he finally unlocks the one upgrade he couldn't afford, the Pocket Dimension Lab. He tells the trader to pull over, inviting him to a private demonstration that sounds a lot like a threat. The trader's not buying the friendly act for a second, wondering what kind of trap he's about to walk into. They're closing in on their destination, but you just know this road trip has one last deadly detour. The trader tries to play the hero, offering to drive on, but his concern is about as real as his loyalty. And then he flips the script, suggesting a safer way that proves he's been studying our boy's powers this whole time. Our boy tests his new lab, and with 2 simple words confirms he's just broken the laws of physics. The trader gives him a reassuring smile, telling him to go on ahead because nothing says, "I trust you," like sending your hostage into a reality-warping void. He steps into his new lab, a sterile white room that looks more like an empty Apple store than a god-tier workshop. But then the system drops the instruction manual. He can now combine and separate objects, basically turning him into a real-life alchemist. The first test is simple, combining a gun and a magazine, a small trick that's about to lead to some very big ideas. Then he asks the million-dollar question, can he store a live grenade with the pin pulled? And the system confirms the ultimate loophole. Time and physics don't apply in his pocket, turning his inventory into a collection of time bombs. So he immediately orders up a batch of instant exploding grenades, because why reload when you can just create chaos on demand? He thinks this is just a minor upgrade, completely underestimating the world-breaking power he just unlocked. And then it hits him, a thought so insane, so game-changing, that he's about to turn his new toy into the ultimate weapon. He's just figured it out. Why build a bomb when you can craft a weapon that's surgical, silent, and leaves no witnesses? Meanwhile, back in the real world, the trader hits a roadblock that looks less like an accident and more like a fortress. He's completely losing it because cars don't just stack themselves into a wall unless someone with a very big, very scary power put them there. And just as he's about to have a meltdown, our boy pops back into the passenger seat with a casual, "Did you miss me?" He calmly points out their little problem, and you know his definition of little is very different from ours. The trader sees an impassable barricade, but our boy just sees a brand new shooting gallery. Young-soo suggests turning around, but Jeong-gyeom shuts that down with 2 words that prove who's really in charge here. And then he drops the 5 words every bad guy dreads. I just made a new weapon. Turns out his new weapon isn't a gun, it's an entire car launched from his pocket dimension like a god-tier cannonball. And just like that, the roadblock is reduced to scrap metal, proving that for him, a traffic jam is just a suggestion. The truck sits in the middle of the carnage, proving that when our boy says clear a path, he means it. The traitor is speechless, finally realizing he's riding shotgun with a guy who weaponizes gym equipment. He asks what kind of monster weapon our boy made, and the answer is a stack of 20 kilos weights. Welcome to the apocalypse gym. But that little demolition just woke up the neighbors, and they are not happy about the noise complaint. With the road clear, they floor it, because this family reunion tour is on a very tight schedule. They screech to a halt, and our boy is out of the truck before the dust even settles, because he's finally arrived at his next stop. The locals are on high alert, wondering if this is a rescue party or just another group of scavengers. But our boy steps out with a smile and asks for his wife's sister by name because he's not here to fight, he's here to collect. Meanwhile, inside, the family reunion looks more like a wrestling match. And there she is, the person they risked it all for, completely unaware that her ride out of hell just pulled up to the curb. We get a flashback to a simpler time, when the biggest crisis was trying to study for exams. Her family is so shocked she's hitting the books, they think she's coming down with a fever. Turns out, this is his wife's sister, and her sudden ambition was so out of character, it became a family emergency. The entire family stages an intervention, but she just brushes them off, hiding a secret that's about to change her life. And then she drops the bombshell that started it all. I just found my dream. And that dream was sparked by a single, unassuming children's book. A book with a message that's about to become chillingly relevant. Even if the world were to end tomorrow, today I will still treat the sick. And just like that, a future doctor was born. Her siblings, however, are convinced she's lost her mind and needs immediate medical attention. But this wasn't just a phase, it was a promise, and she backed it up by becoming a top student, all for a future she never knew would be this dark. She didn't just get into nursing school, she defied her entire family's expectations. And now, in the middle of the apocalypse, she's staring at the man who just broke through hell to find her. The first words out of her mouth aren't hello, they're, how did you survive this? He's trying to be the tough guy, but this reunion is hitting him harder than any monster ever could. Meanwhile, the traitor is just watching from the sidelines, smiling like he's not the reason this reunion was necessary in the first place. In the middle of a ruined city, they finally get their moment, proving family is the one thing the apocalypse can't destroy. He introduces the traitor as a helper, and she has no idea she's thanking the man who tried to kill her rescuer. She tries to thank the traitor with a chocolate bar, but he cuts her off because they have bigger problems. And then our boy changes the entire conversation with 3 words. There's a patient. She instantly flips into doctor mode, but he explains the patient isn't here. He's in a private dimension only he can open. She's just now realizing her brother-in-law isn't just a survivor. He's a player in this new world. He drops the bombshell that he has a private dimension, but opening the door isn't exactly a subtle move. So they head into a ruined hospital, the perfect place to perform a little reality-breaking surgery. The traitor tags along, playing the part of the loyal bodyguard while taking mental notes on every new power he sees. They find a secluded area, because you can't just open a portal to another dimension in the main lobby. The staff room becomes their private gateway, and she has no idea what she's about to walk into. And he opens the door, giving her a front-row seat to the world he built from scratch. She's staring at a private city inside a pocket dimension, and her brain just hit the blue screen of death. But there's no time for a tour because her first patient in this new world is waiting, and he's got a story to tell. She gets straight to work, but her first question isn't about his injuries, it's about how long he's been kept like this. The rescuer sticks to his cover story, claiming the patient was just a random victim they found along the way. And she drops the hammer. With injuries like that, this man is already dead. But then she hits them with the biggest butt of the apocalypse because normal rules no longer apply. And just like that, she reveals she's not just a nurse, she's an awakened healer, and this family just got its own support class. Her power isn't maxed out yet, but she makes one thing clear. As long as she's here, nobody dies on her watch. She patches him up, but says the real problem is starvation, and she has no idea she's talking to the owner of an infinite grocery store. Our boy can't resist teasing her, reminding her she's living out her childhood dream of saving lives at the end of the world. He even quotes her old motto back at her, and you can just feel the sibling-level cringe. She demands answers, but he just offers her fresh bread, ready to explain his god-tier powers over a casual snack. And we flash back to where it all began, a level 1 power so basic he could only store a single item. He gives her the PG-13 version of his origin story, and she's finally starting to understand the monster she's related to. But she's only half listening, because it's hard to care about god-tier powers when you haven't had a decent meal in months. He gives her the Cliff Notes version, which basically translates to, "I skipped over all the parts that would give you nightmares." The family reunion gets super awkward, and even the trader's daughter is chiming in with food critiques. And then the trader's wife shows up playing hostess, offering them a VIP lounge in their 5-star prison. She's so nice it's terrifying, and you just know she's either a saint or the best actor in the apocalypse. And his sister-in-law finally calls him out, realizing he was too busy planning his next move to listen to her tragic backstory. He cuts to the chase. This family reunion tour has another stop, and he's about to go collect the next VIP. But she drops a bombshell that stops him dead in his tracks. She's not coming with him. Because she didn't just find a hideout, she found 300 patients, and a doctor doesn't abandon her post, even at the end of the world. She's not staying for the patients. She's staying because this hospital isn't a sanctuary, it's a prison. Meanwhile, the hospital's self-proclaimed king is getting a report on the new arrivals, who just used a car as a battering ram. They're mistaking our boy for special forces, and they have no idea how right and how wrong they are at the same time. But then the informant drops the one name that changes everything, and suddenly this isn't a random attack, it's personal. And we meet the man in charge, a doctor who thinks a family connection means he's safe, not realizing he just became a target. His plan: use her as a hostage and control the food supply, because in the apocalypse, a doctor's oath is just another bargaining chip. He asks his top muscle if our boy could possibly be stronger, and you just know that question is going to age like milk. And the enforcer's confidence is so high, he has no idea he's about to challenge a guy who uses military bases as carry-on luggage. The order is to play nice, extending a kindness that feels more like a spider welcoming a fly into its web. They're so proud of their new, bigger wall, completely unaware our boy's solution to a roadblock is to just throw another roadblock at it. Our boy connects the dots, realizing this isn't a cult. It's a full-blown mind control operation. And she confirms the horrifying truth. The doctor is using a poison ability to turn the other awakened into his personal puppets. His mind-controlled army is guarding the food, but for some reason, the nurses were spared, and that's a mystery for another day. But she's been fighting back in secret, siphoning mana stones to level up her healing, hoping she can find a cure. And then she drops the hero speech telling him to leave her behind and save the family, because she's not abandoning her patients. But our boy has a very strict, no one gets left behind policy, and he shuts that plan down with a single cold word. She's shocked he heard her plan, but he wasn't just listening, he was strategizing. He boils the entire crisis down to one simple fact: the doctor's ultimate weapon is the food supply. And with a killer smile, he tells her to watch closely, because he's about to show her what a real god-tier ability looks like. She thinks he's just having a cringy hero moment, completely unaware he's about to solve her entire problem with a flick of his wrist. And that's the face of a woman who just realized her brother-in-law's superpower is a Costco membership. He solves the hospital's food crisis by literally making it rain rations, completely breaking their entire power structure in 5 seconds flat. Meanwhile, the doctor in charge scoffs at the news, thinking our boy is just some small-time delivery driver. He's already planning to take over, completely underestimating the guy who just materialized a mountain of food out of thin air. His top goon agrees, asking the most famous last words in the apocalypse: how much food could they possibly have? The doctor's plan is to just wait them out, but his informant is about to drop a truth bomb that will shatter his entire worldview. Because the informant clarifies that a substantial amount means they have more food than this entire fortified hospital. And just like that, the doctor's smug confidence evaporates, replaced by pure, unfiltered disbelief. He can't wrap his head around it because his entire army scrounged for a truckload, and our boy just brought more in a single vehicle. His mind races for an explanation, landing on the only possibility. Our boy doesn't just have supplies, he has an ability that breaks the laws of reality. His plan isn't just to win, it's to break our boy's family, one addiction at a time. But he's not just targeting family, he's got his eyes on the traitor, and you know that can't be good. Meanwhile, our boy's helper is playing Santa Claus, leaving a care package for a sleeping stranger. But this isn't charity, he's looking for someone, and he's starting to get frustrated. He's starting to wonder if he missed his target, completely unaware he's walking through a hornet's nest. His orders were simple, but finding this mystery person is turning into the world's worst game of Where's Waldo. Back in the war room, the plan is simple: break the doctor's control by making it rain groceries. But our boy needs to know what he's up against, and her face says the answer is not what he expects. And the big reveal? The doctor's mind-controlled army has the combined powers of a vending machine and a laundromat. She confirms they're mostly harmless, except for the one person who makes this whole plan a suicide mission. She reveals the hospital's final boss, a guy named Song Hyun-gu, and his introduction is literally just a close-up of his foot. And his tragic backstory? He was just a son worried about his mother, but the apocalypse turned him into the doctor's personal attack dog. Our boy asks about his power, and she basically says, he built that giant wall of cars you just blew up, so he's strong. And right on cue, the man himself appears, confirming he has a superpower that turns him into a human forklift. He tries to play the reasonable bad guy, asking for a chat with the nurse's brother-in-law. But our boy just smiles because he's not here to talk. He's here to put the hospital's management on an extended leave of absence. The big guy is completely thrown because he can't figure out why the new guy on the block is acting like he owns the place. And just like that, the friendly facade drops and he goes full-on final boss mode. He lays down the law, giving our boy two choices, neither of which involves walking away. And choice number 1 is to drink the doctor's mind control Kool-Aid and become another one of his puppets. And choice number 2 is to refuse and become a permanent part of the pavement. But our boy isn't intimidated, he's just roasting the guy's physique, because confidence is his real superpower. He rejects their multiple choice test and offers a third option, leaving the big guy completely stumped. And that option is simple. The final boss doesn't get to leave the arena. With that, the negotiations are over, and the big guy decides to solve this with his fists. But our boy just called for a delivery, and his AI butler is never late. The enforcer stops dead in his tracks because my opponent is summoning items from thin air wasn't in the training manual. And his weapon of choice isn't a gun or a sword, it's a professional-grade bowling ball. He lobs it with a casual taunt, asking if 90 kilometers per hour is too fast for the human tank. The big guy apologizes in advance for what he's about to do, because apparently he has manners, just not mercy. The enforcer catches the bowling ball, but the look on his face says he just learned a very painful lesson about physics. He's not just confused, he's terrified, asking what kind of power turns a sporting goods store into an artillery strike. But our boy's just getting warmed up, and now the enforcer is playing catch with an entire weight rack. He warns the big guy not to move, and the enforcer is just now realizing this isn't a fight. It's a physics exam he's about to fail. Our boy admits he went easy on him this time, but easy still means a multi-ton weight is about to redecorate the pavement. But the enforcer isn't going down that easy, powering up to meet the challenge head-on with his bare fists. And for the first time, our boy is genuinely shocked, because the human tank just punched his attack into dust. He didn't just stop the attack, he shattered it, proving his strength is just as reality-breaking as our boy's inventory. So our boy decides to stop playing games and summons the entire weight room, turning the sky dark with his next attack. And that's the face of a man who just realized he's about to be on the receiving end of the world's deadliest workout. He didn't just stop the attack, he caught it, and now he's turning our boy's own weapon into a prison. And then he has the nerve to apologize for the cramped space, promising to let our boy out eventually. And just like that, the hospital's final boss has built a custom-made prison out of a home gym. But wait, the traitor isn't worried about our hero, he's complimenting the enforcer, revealing whose side he was really on. But our boy isn't trapped at all. He's just casually walking back to his sister-in-law, leaving everyone confused. She asks if he just fought the hospital's strongest warrior, and he answers with the casualness of someone who just took out the trash. She can't believe it, so he just points over his shoulder and says, "Yeah, he's over there," leaving her completely speechless. And she finally sees it. The enforcer isn't gone. He's trapped inside a monument of his own making. Her face says it all. Her brother-in-law didn't just win the fight, he rewrote the laws of physics to do it. The doctor finally shows up demanding answers, and our boy just brushes him off, proving he's already moved on to the next phase of his takeover. He's just waiting for his helper to return, completely unaware the doctor has already made his move. And speak of the devil, here comes the traitor, but he's not walking back in, he's stumbling. One look at his face and they know something is terribly, terribly wrong. And just like that, the traitor collapses, caught in the doctor's mind control trap. He's fighting it, calling out our boy's name, but the poison is already taking hold. The healer confirms their worst fear. The doctor didn't just send a message, he sent a poison pill. The traitor plays dumb, claiming he was just handing out food, but his story has a fatal flaw. And the healer spots it. A tiny cut on his finger that proves this wasn't an accident, It was an assassination attempt. She lays it out cold. Someone got close, used gratitude as a cover, and turned him into a walking time bomb. So our boy makes the call. The traitor is officially a security risk, and he's being put on ice in the pocket dimension. Our boy realizes the doctor's poison wasn't just a message, it's a ticking time bomb. But he's not worried about the traitor. He's worried about the doctor's mind control spreading, and he's already planning a counterattack. So he quarantines the traitor in his pocket dimension, taking extra precautions just in case. And just as they step through, the system drops a bombshell. His dimension has a built-in firewall, and it just blocked the doctor's mind control signal. The traitor is instantly cured, and his face just screams, "Did my new boss just accidentally debug my brain?" Our boy isn't just a walking Costco anymore. He's a walking, talking quarantine zone, and he's just figured out how to weaponize it. But just as they're processing this new cheat code, an uninvited guest crashes the party, and the system confirms the unthinkable. Our boy didn't just let the enforcer in, he invited him. The enforcer is completely baffled, realizing he didn't just walk into a room, he walked into a cage. And our boy reveals his ultimate admin privilege, the power to literally kick you out of reality with the press of a button. The enforcer reaches out, his mind completely blown, because he just got one-shotted by a guy who can literally banish you from reality. And our boy realizes his pocket dimension isn't just a fortress, it's a mental firewall, making him immune to mind control. With his mind his own again, the enforcer finally gets the reunion he was fighting for, proving some things are worth breaking reality for. But this family reunion has to wait, because he's got a score to settle with the doctor who turned him into a puppet. He's so confident in his new freedom, he basically tells them, "Don't worry, I'm a walking tank and I'm about to go prove it." He's not just angry, he's ashamed, and he's about to turn that shame into a one-man wrecking crew aimed straight at the doctor. And with a promise to settle a debt greater than life, the hospital's former boss is officially on a revenge tour. But our boy isn't worried, because while the tank handles the dirty work, he's already planning their exit strategy. Meanwhile, back in the villain's lair, the doctor gets the one message he's been waiting for. His puppet strings have been cut. But he's not shocked, he's smirking, because our hero didn't just walk into a hospital, he walked right into the doctor's real trap. The enforcer squares up to the doctor, ready to turn him into a permanent art installation. But the doctor's not scared. He's got one last thing to say, and his smile is pure poison. And then he drops the most insincere plea for mercy in history, practically daring the enforcer to do it. The enforcer takes the bait, delivering a final verdict that echoes through the entire hospital. Meanwhile, our boy unveils his master plan, a hospital-wide brain scrubbing courtesy of his pocket dimension. His method is simple. Just a touch is enough to reboot their minds, turning this into the world's weirdest game of tag. The team agrees, ready for an all-nighter of saving lives, one finger poke at a time. But just as they're about to start, an unexpected visitor stumbles into the hallway, interrupting their master plan. It's an old man, looking like he just woke up from a 100-year nap and has no idea where he is. And then he looks at our hero and says the one word that changes everything, Dad. The old man snaps out of it, realizing he's been a puppet this whole time. But before our boy can process the family drama, the enforcer returns, and his timing is impeccable. The human tank is back, and you can just feel the tension spike in the hallway. And with a smile that's way too calm, he confirms the doctor's reign of terror is officially over. He gives them a formal thank you, casually mentioning he took care of the hospital's former tyrant on his way out. And our boy's face just screams, "I'm not asking and you're not telling, and we're all good with that." Then he apologizes for almost turning him into a pancake, and the enforcer just laughs it off like it was a minor inconvenience. But he admits that fighting monsters is one thing, but getting dive-bombed by an entire gym was a whole new level of terrifying. He literally says our boy's power is scarier than any monster, and our hero just smirks like, "Yeah, I know." But the friendly banter is over, because our boy asks the one question that will decide the future of this alliance. The enforcer makes his pitch. "I know it's selfish, but please stay. Because who wouldn't want a reality-warping demigod on their side?" But our boy politely declines because this family reunion tour has a few more stops and a lot more chaos to cause. He asks for intel on his next destination, but the enforcer's face says he just asked for directions to the final boss's living room. Because Yujiro isn't just dangerous anymore, it's been completely cut off from the rest of the world. The enforcer promises to repay the debt, but you know a favor from a guy like that comes with a heavy price tag. They part ways with a handshake. Two apocalypse titans who know they'll meet again on a different battlefield. And with a final farewell, they're back on the road, leaving one crisis behind and driving straight into the next. The trader immediately starts asking questions about a mysterious wall, and you know he's not just making small talk. Our boy is already strategizing, hoping he can talk his way through this new obstacle, because fighting it might not even be an option. And we get the full story. This isn't just a barricade, it's a monument to someone's power, and it just sealed off an entire city district. The enforcer explains the wall didn't just appear, it grew out of the ground, and now it's so big that driving is officially off the menu. But he's not done with the bad news because the monsters in the next town play by a completely different set of rules. And the big twist? The next level isn't dragons or beasts, it's an army of skeletons. Scratch that. They're not just skeletons, they're full-on undead that get right back up after you put them down. Our boy processes the new intel. Immortal monsters and an impassable wall, and he almost looks excited. But when asked if he's worried about his sister-in-law, he just smirks because this next family member is a whole different story. Because he's not worried about her surviving the apocalypse, he's pretty sure she's the one giving the apocalypse a hard time. But the strategy session is cut short by an urgent call from inside his pocket dimension. His sister-in-law, the healer, pops through a portal, and she looks like she's about to file a formal complaint with management. And her problem isn't the end of the world, it's the attitude of one of their new guests. And her complaint is that the VIP patient they rescued from the brink of death is finally awake. The soldier introduces himself as a colonel, and he's not just grateful, he's pledging a life debt to the man who saved him. Our boy plays it cool, but you can't just have a casual chat when you're standing in a pocket dimension. And the colonel is starting to notice the scenery doesn't quite match the map in his head. So our boy decides it's time for the grand tour, and his smile says, "Prepare to have your mind blown." He drops the truth bomb. They're not in a building, they're inside his personal subspace, currently driving through the city. The colonel's brain just hit a 404 error, trying to compute how a room can also be a moving vehicle. The healer dumbs it down for him. Basically, you're in a God's private universe, try to keep up. He accepts this reality-breaking news with the calm of a man who has seen way too much apocalypse for one lifetime. And then he immediately asks to be let out, because apparently he's got more important things to do than ride in a pocket dimension. The trader jumps in to defend our boy, but his "he's not dangerous" speech sounds more like a plea than a character reference. The colonel agrees he's not a threat, but the "but" in his voice is so big it could have its own zip code. And here's the bombshell. He has urgent, classified intel for the top brass, and the fate of the country might depend on it. Our boy just nods because a nation-ending crisis is just another Tuesday for him. He summons his AI butler with a single word, because you don't solve global threats on an empty stomach. And his solution to this military emergency is banana milk and a sandwich, delivered by a robot that still charges him for it. He offers to send the colonel on his way, playing the part of the generous host for about 5 seconds. But then he flips the switch because his generosity comes with a price tag, and this ride isn't free. The deal is simple. Finish your snack, spill the state secrets, and then we'll talk about letting you go. The colonel tries to stall, but our boy just dangles the food, asking if his taste in bread is the real problem here. So he sweetens the deal with a full-blown apocalypse pizza party, because state secrets are best served with extra cheese. The colonel starts spilling the beans, explaining how the world ended while stuffing his face with a sandwich. And he clarifies this wasn't just a monster invasion, it was a full-scale reality merge with entire ecosystems teleporting into our world. These new neighbors weren't friendly, and they started a world war where everything was on the menu. So humanity fought back, forming elite units of awakened soldiers to give the monsters a taste of their own medicine. For a while it actually worked, and his unit was holding the line, thinking they had a handle on the situation. But then he drops the bombshell. Their hard-won peace was shattered by the arrival of a single, unstoppable guy. And we flash back to the moment his entire world broke, staring up at something that defied all logic. Because that guy wasn't a guy at all. It was the same bulletproof dragon our hero just fought, and it wiped out his entire base. They called for help, but every other unit was fighting its own final boss, and command just went dark. They were completely on their own. He explains that while the world was burning, the one place that should have been responding went completely dark. So they made the call, a suicide run to command, because staying put was a death sentence. Their desperate retreat became a meat grinder, leaving a trail of fallen comrades all the way to the capital. They were so desperate they started recruiting randoms, turning civilians into soldiers just to push forward. They finally reach the heart of the military, only to find it completely abandoned. But the silence wasn't because of monsters, it was because of something far, far worse. Because in a forgotten file, they found the one word that explained everything. It wasn't a monster attack that silenced command, it was a military coup, and the enemy was human. And to make it worse, the very awakened they recruited for help betrayed them, taking over what was left. The First Corps has gone rogue, and he's carrying the one message that could stop them from taking over the entire country. Our boy hears about a national crisis and offers a rideshare because his family reunion tour waits for no military coup. The traitor is ready to hit the gas, but our boy tells him to just chill and enjoy the 5-star Apocalypse Uber service. The colonel wants to go faster, but our boy's like, "Relax, we're not late, we're just making a dramatic entrance." The colonel finally connects the dots, wondering how this guy survived the same dragon that wiped out his entire unit. But before he can even ask, he gets his answer and his face says it all. Oh, that's how. Because the traitor just spotted their next speed bump, and it's a 10-foot-tall monster with a very bad attitude. And this guy isn't here to ask for directions. He's here to turn their truck into a chew toy. But before the colonel can even blink, the problem is already solved with a high-speed delivery. And the colonel realizes our boy's secret weapon isn't a missile, it's a projectile from the Apocalypse Gym. And the proof just landed on his dinner table because our boy doesn't just fight monsters, he sends souvenirs. The colonel is trying to process what he just saw, because his military training never covered death by dumbbell. But our boy is already on to the next trick, ordering a military vehicle from his AI like it's a late-night snack. And just like that, a military jeep spawns on the street because his inventory isn't just a pantry, it's a full-blown motor pool. The colonel is watching this from inside the dimension, and his brain just short-circuited for the second time in 5 minutes. He just tells the colonel to keep eating, because summoning military hardware is just another Tuesday for him. He hops into his new ride, leaving the portal open so his VIP guest can get a live feed of the chaos outside. The colonel's mind is racing, trying to categorize a power that's part artillery, part car dealership, and all terrifying. Meanwhile, outside, the monster they just annoyed is powering up, and it does not look happy about the new paint job. It lunges forward, ready to turn their brand new ride into scrap metal. But our boy's response is another high-velocity delivery from the Apocalypse Gym, proving that in this world, cardio is king. The dumbbell connects, and the monster is instantly deleted from existence. The colonel can only stare in disbelief, asking the question on everyone's mind, what kind of power is this? But it's not just an attack, it's a self-looting, mana-collecting Roomba of death. And the colonel finally confirms it. He's not hallucinating, he's just witnessing a power that breaks every rule of war. He breaks it down. It's a high-speed, multi-shot homing missile system that uses gym equipment as ammo. And the cherry on top, it automatically collects the loot, turning monster hunting into the world's most efficient farming run. His final conclusion is simple. This isn't just a power, it's a cheat code for the apocalypse. As they drive on, the traitor announces their next stop, completely unaware he's just a chauffeur for a god. But they hit another dead end, because the bridge to their destination looks like it was chewed up and spit out by hell itself. Our boy just smirks, casually announcing a slight delay, because for him, a destroyed city is just a minor detour. The colonel is trying to be patient, but even he's wondering why the god-tier Uber is running late. But then he does the math, and realizes their 1-hour trip through hell should have been impossible. He breaks it down. With monster fights and collapsed roads, they didn't just break the speed limit, they broke reality. He gives our boy credit for the firepower, but admits the real MVP is the traitor's insane driving skills. And we get a flashback to the traitor's driving, which is less fast and furious and more, let's defy gravity. The colonel concludes he's riding with two of the most broken players in the apocalypse, and he's just trying not to get carsick. They finally reach the bridge, and for a second, it looks like they've actually caught a break. The traitor spots a clear path, but our boy hits him with the one word you never want to hear in the apocalypse. But because in the distance, a new problem is lighting up the horizon, and it's not a sunrise. And there it is. The fortress wall they were warned about, so massive it's blocking out the sky. Our boy's response to a city-sized wall is basically, hey, let's go poke it and see what happens. He offers the colonel a lift, because what's one more stop on the Apocalypse Express? And then the colonel's face drops, because he just realized where they're headed and it's not on any map. Because their destination isn't just a base, it's the ghost town that used to be military command. They drop him off, and for a second it looks like this is where their paths diverge. But the colonel's final thank you feels less like a goodbye and more like a see you in 5 minutes. With the side quest done, our boy is back to business, ready to take on the final boss's entire neighborhood. He checks his stats, wondering if he can just level up and put the entire fortress wall in his pocket, but even he has limits. For now. He's just 2 hours of monster farming away from a god-tier upgrade, but the apocalypse waits for no one. And right on cue, the colonel returns with a job offer you can't refuse. How would you two like to help me save the country? The colonel makes his pitch. Join the government, get a starter pack of mana stones, and a pat on the back. But our boy politely declines because his family-first policy has a zero-tolerance clause for side quests.
He then flexes so hard he almost cracks the pavement, reminding them his mana stone farming is fully automated.
The colonel pivots, realizing he can't recruit a god, but maybe he can get him to do a favor. And our boy's only question is, does your military HQ have a helicopter I can borrow? The colonel's confidence shatters, admitting he's not even sure if they have a working coffee machine, let alone a chopper. Back at HQ, the situation is grim. Entire cities and military divisions have been wiped off the map. The only power left standing is the First Corps, the same traitors who started this whole mess. The colonel faces the cold, hard truth. He's trying to save a country that might not even exist anymore. And with the world in chaos, he admits they're flying blind into a war where the enemy is wearing their own uniform. Just when the colonel thinks things can't get worse, his subordinate walks in with news that's about to change the entire war. He tells the director there's a visitor, but his face says this isn't a social call, it's an emergency. The visitor is the sole survivor of an entire battalion, and he's carrying a message that couldn't wait. The director can't believe it, because that unit wasn't just any unit, they were the lifeline of the entire military. With the fate of the nation hanging in the balance, he gives the order to let the messenger in, and the colonel steps forward, ready to deliver the intel that will either save them or get them all killed. He doesn't just have a story, he has proof, pulled from the heart of the conspiracy. And he hands over the single piece of paper that confirms their worst nightmare is real. The director reads the note, and the color drains from his face as he realizes the enemy isn't at the gates. They're already inside. He looks at the colonel, the terrible truth hanging between them. The military hasn't just fallen, it's been stolen. The director watches from above, and you just know this isn't a friendly welcome. Our boy stands alone, looking less like a visitor and more like a problem they need to solve. But then the top brass comes down and gives him a full-on hero's welcome because saving a colonel gets you major respect. The director confirms he knows all about our boy's god-tier delivery service and the request for a helicopter. He admits that for a guy who can pull an army jeep out of thin air, delivering a chopper should be a piece of cake. But then he hits him with the one condition that's about to make this whole negotiation go sideways. His offer: become a government employee, and in exchange, you get to fight their wars for them. But our boy shuts him down cold because his family reunion tour has a strict no side quests policy. The director's face falls, realizing he can't just recruit a guy who operates on a whole other level. So he pulls the offer, telling him no enlistment means no helicopter, and our boy just accepts it like he already has a backup plan. The director gives a polite dismissal, trying to act like he's the one ending the conversation. But our boy just turns to leave, and the military brass collectively short-circuits, realizing he just called their bluff. He's so unbothered, he's already planning to go poke the giant death wall by himself. And just like that, the director cracks, desperately stopping him with one last Hail Mary request. The deal is back on the table. Do one little favor for him, and the helicopter is all his. And suddenly, our boy is leading a full-blown military convoy through the ruins of the city. He's so casual about it, he's sipping banana milk while commanding a military escort. The mission? Escort them to Seoul Station, the last known holdout for reserve awakened soldiers. It sounds simple enough, but the director's tone says this isn't just a road trip, it's a suicide run. And here's the catch. The road is blocked by an army of skeletons, and our boy just signed up to be their pest control. The director explains the skeletons aren't strong, they're just an annoyance, a word you never want to hear in an apocalypse. Because annoyance is military code for, there are so many of them, they'll just swarm you to death. And the real problem? They're basically immortal unless you hit a tiny core in their ribcage, turning this into the world's worst game of operation. The traitor sums it up. The military wants our boy to be their one-man skeleton exploding rescue team. Our boy's response is a casual, sounds simple, followed by a tidal wave of canned goods that turns the undead army into a pile of dust. And just like that, the military's immortal problem is solved with a single volley from the apocalypse pantry. They roll up to the station, and the survivors look like they've just seen a ghost, not a rescue convoy. The director gives the signal, and our boy just watches because his part of the mission took about 5 seconds. With the survivors loaded up, the convoy heads back, proving our boy is the most overqualified escort in history. And just like that, the side quest is over, and he's already thinking about that helicopter he was promised. The traitor admits our boy's power is a game changer, but he's about to add a very big but to that sentence. And there it is, the one piece of intel that turns this milk run into a potential suicide mission. Because among the grunts, there's a final boss they call the Skeleton Knight, and it's on a whole different level. The official military advice is to run, hide, and pray it doesn't see you. And our boy's response to that advice is to throw a 20-kilo dumbbell at its face. But for the first time ever, his attack doesn't just fail, it gets completely stonewalled. And we meet the monster that just shrugged off a high-velocity projectile like it was a gnat. That's the look of two guys who just realized they picked a fight with the wrong pile of bones. The Skeleton Knight just stands there, blocking the road like a bouncer at the apocalypse's most exclusive club. And then it speaks, and you realize this isn't just a monster. It's a general, and it's not letting them pass. A talking skeleton? This road trip just took a turn for the bizarre. Hold up, this bony boy isn't messing around. That sword looks sharp. Okay, spooky skeleton is powering up, and things are about to get dicey. Gawain? 12 Knights? Night King? This isn't just a monster, it's a whole mythology. Our boy just casually deciphered skeleton language. Did he just level up mid-conversation? Gawain's not impressed with the dumbbell diplomacy, and he's asking questions. Business ethics from a skeleton? This apocalypse is weirdly formal. Oh snap, someone just got sliced and diced, and it wasn't the skeleton. Weak attacks? This bony boy is seriously underestimating our hero's inventory. Incoming! Something just got launched at warp speed, and it's not a compliment. Boney McBoneson just deflected a projectile attack. This skeleton ain't playing. He's not just blocking, he's counterattacking. Our hero better watch out. That's the face of a skeleton who's about to serve some serious pain. Is that a challenge? Our hero just got served a side of disrespect with his canned peaches. Oh no, he didn't. Someone just got schooled in close combat, and it wasn't the skeleton. Uh-oh, that's a big sword, and it's coming right for our hero's face. Did he just dodge that? This fight is getting intense. Incoming! Boney McBonison is back on the attack, and he's not holding back. The traitor just witnessed a miracle, and he's terrified. Our hero's got a plan, and it involves some serious physics. So our boy decides to stop playing dodgeball and unlocks a brand new skill, tracking delivery. He launches another projectile, but this time, he's aiming for the one spot that'll end this fight for good. The projectile screams through the air, but the Skeleton Knight is already moving to intercept. He taunts our hero for his predictable attacks, completely underestimating the guy who just paid for premium shipping. The knight boasts he can dodge anything, completely unaware that the projectile he just dodged is making a U-turn. And that's the face of a monster who just realized the attack isn't over, it's just getting started. Because tracking delivery turns every item into a homing missile, and this one has the skeleton's name on it. But while the knight is busy with the main event, our boy throws a distraction, and the skeleton just swats it away. The knight tries to play it cool, claiming he just let his guard down for a second. But that second was just long enough to get clocked in the head by the can of beans he just ignored. The knight is completely baffled because he just got outsmarted by a can of soup. He's replaying the moment in his head, realizing the attack was completely invisible to him. And while he's distracted, the homing bowling ball finally connects, delivering a strike right to the jaw. But our boy isn't done. He's turned the street into a pinball machine, and the knight is the ball. The knight is trapped in a vortex of high-velocity groceries with no escape in sight. He's not just attacking, he's programming a beatdown, telling his AI to auto-ship pain directly to the knight's face. The traitor's jaw is on the floor because he just watched his boss turn a grocery run into a military-grade drone strike. He breathes a sigh of relief, thinking they've survived the impossible and thanking our hero for the save. But our boy shuts that down fast, warning that this thing is tougher than a dragon, and they are far from safe. Because after taking 100 hits to the face, the Skeleton Knight is not only still standing, it's talking. He knows the beatdown is working, but he's on a timer telling his driver to get the convoy moving now. The traitor doesn't hesitate because when a god tells you to drive, you hit the gas. The knight is trapped in a storm of projectiles, screaming for it to stop, but our boy just turned up the volume. The traitor notices the skeleton is starting to crumble, and our boy's face says, "I know." And that's when he gets an idea. A terrible, brilliant, skeleton exploding idea. He unleashes his ultimate attack, a 4-way synchronized strike from the Apocalypse Gym. The knight is caught in the crossfire, and the street turns into a fireworks show of pure destruction. But even as it shatters, the knight has one last thing to say, calling our boy a mage with its dying breath. And with a final chilling promise of immortality for its king, the knight crumbles into nothing. But it didn't just leave a warning. It left behind a jackpot of high-grade mana stones. And his reward is automatically vacuumed up because this power comes with its own cleanup crew. The system confirms he didn't just get mana stones, he got a reinforcement stone, a brand new toy for his collection. The entire military convoy is in shock because they just watched one man solo a monster they couldn't even scratch. They reveal the knight could shrug off tank shells, and this guy just took it down with a can of beans. And just like that, he's not just a civilian anymore, he's a hero, and the entire convoy is his new fan club. But the director isn't celebrating. He's reminding our boy that he just ignored a direct order to run. And that order immediately turns into a desperate plea because he knows he can't afford to lose this kind of power. Our boy respectfully declines, but the director makes it clear, this isn't a request anymore, it's a standing offer. With the deal sealed, he finally gets his helicopter, but he can feel the weight of their expectations settling on his shoulders. Because he admits to himself that he barely won, and if there's another night out there, this story might have a very different ending. And the traitor does the math. They just took down one of 12 final bosses, and the rest are still out there. And he just confirmed it. In this apocalypse, a bowling ball hits harder than a high-caliber bullet, and physics has officially left the chat. The director changes the subject, but his question about Uljiro feels less like small talk and more like an interrogation. He confirms it with a casual nod because city-sized death trap is just another stop on his family road trip. The director reveals the military already lost an entire unit to that wall, and you know this isn't a warning. It's a test. He tries to play it off, claiming there are still people alive in there, but his smile says he knows more than he's letting on. The director offers some false hope, and our boy plays along, but the tension in this room is thick enough to cut with a knife. But our boy isn't worried because his sister isn't a damsel in distress. She's the final boss the monsters have nightmares about. And then the director drops the real bombshell. The wall isn't just a wall, it's a cage, and the roof is closing. The director leads him to the helipad, and you can just feel the story shifting into its next, even deadlier chapter. And there it is, one slightly used apocalypse-grade helicopter, ready for takeoff. Our boy's not picky as long as it flies, but the traitor in the back looks like he's about to lose his lunch. But the director cuts him off because that rust bucket isn't their ride. And with a smile that's pure smug, he points to the real prize. Because he didn't just get them a ride, he got them a top-of-the-line Black Hawk, the military's finest. And the traitor's reaction is pure, unadulterated joy, because he's about to live out his Top Gun fantasy. The director lays it on thick, calling them reliable allies, but you know this generosity comes with strings attached. The traitor is absolutely starstruck, ready to take the controls of a machine that's basically a flying fortress. But when asked if he can actually fly it, he drops a bombshell. Nope, first time. And then he says, but, and summons a glowing data chip, because apparently he can just download the pilot's manual directly into his brain. He just revealed his power has a pay-to-win feature, and the helicopter DLC costs 50 magic stones. And the system confirms it. His best driver skill is a universal license. He just needs to pay the registration fee. So his power isn't about leveling up. It's about downloading new vehicle profiles directly into his brain. The traitor realizes his ability works by registering concepts, not experience, and the director is listening to every word. And just like that, the director offers to foot the bill, because a favor from the military always comes with a price. He leads them away with a cryptic promise, and you just know this isn't a simple transaction. Then he opens a briefcase that isn't full of cash, it's full of pure, uncut apocalypse currency. The traitor is completely stunned because that's not just a payment, that's a down payment on their souls. The director calls it a gift, but we all know that's just military speak for, you work for us now. They accept the bribe with a smile, completely unaware they just signed an unwritten contract with the most powerful man left alive. Our boy casually hands over a fortune in mana stones, telling his new pilot to just keep the change. And with a flash of light, the trader's brain gets a 50-stone software update, turning him into an instant ace pilot. He's got a brand new skill set and a terrifying look in his eye, ready for takeoff now. But our boy's plea for caution is met with the most confident no in apocalypse history. And as the trader lives out his Top Gun fantasy, our hero looks like he's seriously reconsidering this whole alliance. The pilot is so hyped he's practically dragging our boy into the cockpit because safety checks are for people who can't download skills. While his new driver gets settled, our boy decides to kill time by checking the loot from his last boss fight. And it's not just mana stones. He's got a brand new toy, an enhancement stone, and you know that's going to be important. The system confirms he's now sitting on over 300 mana stones, basically making him the 1% of the apocalypse. With a fresh pile of cash, he decides it's time to go shopping for a serious power-up, right here, right now. He immediately drops 1,000 mana stones on a pocket dimension upgrade, because why be a god if you can't renovate? With the upgrade cooking, he turns his attention to his new toy, an enhancement stone that's about to add flammable to his resume. The system explains he can now enchant his inventory, turning everyday items into weapons of mass destruction. And he realizes this is how the Skeleton Knight got its power. He's not just fighting monsters, he's looting their source code. But the question is, what do you enchant first when your entire arsenal is a glorified sporting goods store? He chooses the bowling ball, and just like that, he's the proud owner of a +1 flaming ball of doom. He registers his new favorite weapon, because if a regular bowling ball is a problem, a magical one is a crisis. But the weapon testing has to wait, because his pilot is about to give them a flying lesson they didn't sign up for. The director sends them off with a salute that's half good luck and half don't scratch the paint. And right as they take off, his subspace upgrade finishes, unlocking a list of new features so broken it's not even fair anymore. Our boy's face says, "This pilot's about to get us all killed." The director salutes, but his thoughts are definitely not PG. He's already planning their recruitment speech, and it involves a lot of mana stones. But something about their expressions is making him nervous. Very nervous. The director's having second thoughts, and you know it's not about the fuel costs. He's starting to regret that Black Hawk, and we're about to find out why. Our boy discovers a massive limitation to his god mode, and it changes everything. He's been hiding a secret about his powers, and it's about to blow up in his face. But wait, there's a loophole. He can upgrade his subspace, but the price is steep. He's got a plan to steal the entire helicopter, and it's genius. The director watches them leave, convinced he just bought himself the world's most powerful pawn. But his victory lap is cut short because that brand new Blackhawk is coming right back. He's not worried about a malfunction. He's worried they're about to renegotiate the terms of his gift. And they don't just land, they make a statement parking the new ride right next to the old one. Because our boy's plan wasn't to borrow a helicopter, it was to trade up. He gives a casual wave from the cockpit, and the director realizes this isn't a return. It's a repo. And with a final disrespectful flyby, they're gone, leaving the military's top brass standing in the dust. The director can only watch as his multi-million-dollar investment flies off into the sunset. And that's the face of a man who just realized he didn't make an ally. He just armed his biggest problem. But with the military in their rearview mirror, it's time to face the real problem. A wall so big, it has its own weather system. Inside the fortress, something sinister is brewing. And it's not coffee. Meet the Skeleton King, he's got a bone to pick with our hero. This isn't just a throne room, it's a command center for the apocalypse. The king's got questions, and they're not about the weather inside the wall. Turns out, our hero's little visit broke some serious magical rules. The king's not just confused, he's insulted. Someone just crashed his party. Gawain's dying words just painted a target on our hero's back. Lancelot's ready to serve our hero's head on a platter, literally. The king's got a theory, and it's about to turn this whole story upside down. The verdict is in, our hero's about to become Skeleton Chow. But the king's got bigger problems because his magical security system just pinged an intruder alert. He just shrugs it off because with the city's roof about to close, any survivors are just appetizers for the main course. And speaking of appetizers, meet the local wildlife, and it's not happy to see uninvited guests. But something else is already here, and it's turning the welcome party into a laser light show. Meanwhile, our boy makes his grand entrance, ready to find his sister-in-law and get the hell out. But even he's having second thoughts, wondering if his new flaming bowling ball was the right call for this death trap. The pilot reports they've arrived, but the landing zone is a little occupied. And it's not just rubble blocking the way, it's something much, much worse. Because down below, another one of the skeleton knights is already in the middle of its own boss fight. And this isn't just any knight, it's Lancelot, and he just noticed he has an audience. And the person fighting Lancelot isn't just surviving, she's glowing with a power that rivals the knight itself. She's not using a weapon, she's turning her own fists into golden monster-shattering cannons. And with a single punch, she sends the invincible knight flying across the street like a rag doll. The pilot is ready to turn back, because landing now means facing 2 god-tier monsters instead of 1. But our boy just drops the biggest bombshell of the apocalypse. That's my older sister. The pilot's brain short-circuits, and our hero has to clarify, yeah, the one who just used a skeleton knight as a punching bag. But down on the ground, his sister is confused because her hits are landing but the knight just won't break. She's facing the same problem he did. This thing is basically immortal, and she's wondering why it won't stay down. And we flash back to the moment that started it all, when a little girl found her calling in a mixed martial arts match. Because before the apocalypse, she wasn't a soldier, she was a fighter, and she was absolutely born for this. Turns out, our hero's sister had a slightly aggressive playstyle even as a kid. Something's off. This skeleton knight isn't going down as easily as it should. Sis was a prodigy, but she craved a real challenge, not playground scraps. Dad saw her potential and sent her to the ultimate training ground, not ballet class. First loss, but this isn't the end, it's the beginning of something fierce. Losing hurt, but it ignited a fire in her. This girl loves a good fight. Born a competitor, she was destined for greatness, apocalypse or not. By 7th grade, she was the undisputed champion, leaving her competition in the dusty. Her passion turned into an obsession, pushing her beyond her limits, way beyond. And then, disaster struck. A devastating injury threatened to end it all. But did it? Find out next time. She refused to let a career-ending injury stop her, training through the pain because quitting was never an option. This cycle of injury and recovery delayed her pro debut for years, but the apocalypse finally gave her an arena worthy of her skill. The pilot is so terrified he just agrees to everything, finally admitting that his boss's sister is the real monster here. But down below, the skeleton knight gets back up, completely unfazed, and this polite conversation is about to get serious. And he asks the one question that proves he's not just a monster, he's a student of combat. He wants to know why he can't land a hit, and she just roasts him with the coldest comeback of the apocalypse. You're too slow. But the knight isn't just fast, he's smart, and he knows this isn't about speed, it's about a technique he's never seen before. And she just casually explains she's reading his every move before he even makes it, like he's an open book. The knight is so impressed he basically admits she's the better fighter, and that only his boss-level status is saving him. And his respectful praise completely throws her off because monsters aren't supposed to offer you a job promotion mid-fight. The skeleton knight is so impressed, he offers her a VIP pass out of the death trap, promising to vouch for her with the king. He calls it a favor, a thank you for schooling him in the art of combat. But his respectful monologue is cut short by a high-velocity delivery from the Apocalypse Sporting Goods store. And the weapon that just deleted a final boss? A flaming bowling ball. She just stands there trying to figure out if she's hallucinating a magical bowling alley. Her brain is short-circuiting because her fists of fury couldn't do what a single strike just did. She's asking the one question on everyone's mind. How did a bowling ball just break the game's physics? And then the loot starts flying because this attack doesn't just kill monsters, it vacuums their pockets. The mana stones get sucked into a portal, and she realizes this wasn't a random event, it was a targeted strike. And as the dust settles, she's left wondering who else is in this death trap with a weapon that defies all logic. The Black Hawk descends, and you just know this isn't a rescue, it's a family reunion. She stands alone in the wreckage, a one-woman army waiting for her ride. And our boy leans out with the most casual greeting of the apocalypse. Long time no see, sis. Her face says it all. The only thing more shocking than a magical bowling ball is finding out your little brother is piloting it. But she's not just happy to see him. She's already reverse engineering his powers like a combat manual. And her explanation for her own strength? Nah, I was just born this awesome. And just like that, the apocalypse is put on hold for a family dinner, because priorities. With 2 siblings found, he announces the next stop on the tour, finding the final piece of their overpowered family. But his sister calls him out, asking the one question on everyone's mind. Are you using cheat codes? He just tells her to enjoy the all-you-can-eat buffet because explaining godhood takes way too long. The reunion's over, because our boy confirms the city-sized death trap is about to become a tomb. The pilot is just catching up, but our boy reveals a terrifying detail. Their escape route was already closing before they even got here. The pilot wants to do a little looting, but one lookup proves their escape window is closing for good. The pilot finally sees it. The sky is gone, replaced by a stone ceiling that just locked them inside. But while everyone else panics, our boy just gets an idea, a terrible, brilliant, wall-breaking idea. With the exits sealed, they take to the air, because our boy's about to try some percussive maintenance on the sky itself. And his plan is simple. If the door's locked, just knock it down with a volley of flaming bowling balls. The enchanted projectiles hit their mark, but the wall doesn't even get a scratch. And the pilot confirms their worst fear. They just hit an indestructible wall with their strongest attack, and it didn't leave a mark. With brute force off the table, he considers a new strategy. If you can't break the wall, just put the whole thing in your inventory. But his god-tier power has a fine print he never read. Every delivery has a shipping fee, and he's officially broke. And he realizes his powers just got a permanent debuff, because every chopper ride now costs a fortune in mana stones. His sister raises a terrifying point. What if his inventory doesn't just swallow the wall, but the entire city along with it? And she drops a bombshell. The skeleton knight he just shattered might have been telling the truth. The knight's final offer wasn't a threat, it was a warning. Stay in this city and you're already dead. The pilot's blood runs cold, realizing the Night King doesn't just want to fight them, he knows exactly how they're going to die. While the pilot panics about their impending doom, our boy just says, "Don't worry." And then he drops the most terrifyingly confident line of the apocalypse. "We'll be there in 5 minutes." The pilot's face says it all. Their 5-minute trip to find a God King is going to break the sound barrier. Because our boy's solution to every problem is to just drive through it, even if he has to use a Black Hawk as a battering ram. And the pilot is having the time of his life, treating the city like his personal flight simulator, and the sound barrier is just a suggestion. Meanwhile, the Skeleton King gets the worst performance review of the apocalypse. His top knight got deleted without landing a single blow. And the only clue they have is the knight's dying words pointing the finger at a mysterious magician who broke the game. The king's not just mad, he's furious because our boy just crashed his harvest, and that sounds all kinds of apocalyptic. He's done playing defense, deciding it's time to personally welcome the one who dared to interfere with his plans. But his general has an update. The magician isn't running. He's already on his way to the front door. And the king just sits there, because the sheer audacity of someone ordering an Uber straight to his throne room is almost respectable. Just like that, the Apocalypse Express makes its final stop, parking a Black Hawk right outside the final boss's window. But the pilot's bravado finally runs out because he just realized he flew them into a one-way meeting with a god. The king was expecting a rival Lich Lord, but instead he gets 2 humans and a pilot who looks like he's about to be sick, and he is utterly confused. The king is so confident he's just glad the food is delivering itself. But he's got a welcome party planned, and the bouncers are a whole new level of ugly. Meanwhile, the ace pilot discovers the one thing his downloaded skills didn't prepare him for: motion sickness. And his sister's face says it all. She's fought immortal knights, and this is what breaks them. The pilot officially retires from flying, vowing to walk for the rest of the apocalypse, effective immediately. Even our hero is feeling the G-force, proving that a reckless pilot is the one enemy his inventory can't solve. And right on cue, the castle's guard dogs show up, and they are not here to play fetch. But while the boys are still recovering, Sis is already winding up to greet the new neighbors. She delivers a one-punch welcome that sends the monster straight to the Shadow Realm. With the guard dog put down, they finally step inside, ready to have a little chat with the manager. Sis gives a quick thanks for the assist, but her fighter's intuition tells her the party's not over yet. She warns him they're not alone, and you know her danger sense is never, ever wrong. Because the downed guard dog is laughing as it pulls itself back together. And it's not just regenerating, it's looking for a rematch. Oh, and it didn't come alone. The entire throne room is an ocean of glowing red eyes. Sis immediately orders the pilot into the panic room because the adults are about to have a very loud conversation. Our boy opens his pocket dimension, and the pilot dives in without a second thought. But while everyone else sees a death trap, his sister sees the all-you-can-fight buffet she's been dreaming of, and she admits it out loud. A one-on-one would have been a total letdown. She calls dibs on the first wave, charging into the horde before her brother can even say, wait. She doesn't just fight the horde, she dives into it head first like it's a mosh pit. She's not just fighting, she's using the monsters as stepping stones on her way to the main event. The entire throne room swarms her, a tidal wave of teeth and claws meant to overwhelm her. But she's just smiling because this isn't a fight, it's a party, and she's the guest of honor. Every punch is a knockout, turning the king's army into a one-woman demolition derby. She's a blur of pure destruction, and the monsters are just a warm-up. And for a split second, it looks like they finally got her. A monster lands a clean hit. But she just grins because that bite didn't hurt her, it just made her angry. She turns the tables instantly, delivering a counterattack so brutal, the monster never saw it coming. And our boy just watches, admitting that his sister is having so much fun, it's hard to even keep track of the body count. He wants to jump in, but his sister is so deep in the monster mosh pit, he can't get a clean shot. So he hits the upgrade store, because when in doubt, just buy a new feature for your god mode. But while he's browsing, one of the guard dogs finally breaks through his sister's defenses, and she responds by delivering a fist-to-face introduction that completely rearranges its day. She stands in the middle of the chaos, not as a survivor, but as the storm's calm, terrifying center. And with a grin that could scare the devil himself, she's already looking for her next dance partner. But the entire horde suddenly stops, distracted by a strange blue light that just appeared out of nowhere. Because our boy just decided to help, and his idea of backup is to open a portal right in the middle of the fight. And out comes his secret weapon, a bug zapper so big it's officially classified as a war crime. He just sits back in a summoned recliner, watching his apocalypse-grade pest control turn the king's army into a light show. But his sister isn't grateful for the assist. She's furious he crashed her one-woman monster mash. He calls her out for treating the apocalypse like a competition, and she just pulls the respect your elders card mid-battle. Meanwhile, the Skeleton King gets a report from another one of his knights, Tristan, and the news is not good. The king can't believe what he's hearing, but Tristan confirms it. Their fortress has been breached by two absolute monsters. Tristan's report is grim. One is a magician with game-breaking items, and the other is a human who fights like a knight. The king realizes this isn't just an intrusion, it's a full-blown crisis that just landed on his doorstep. So he decides to call in the big guns, summoning Lancelot, but even his own advisor thinks that's a terrible idea. His advisor warns that summoning such a high-level being breaks some serious cosmic rules, but the king insists they have no other option. Because the king just admitted it, he's outclassed, and fighting them fairly would be suicide. With his advisor on board, the king prepares to summon his ultimate trump card, and the real boss fight is about to begin. The king promises not to forget his knight's sacrifice, because he's about to use him as fuel for something terrible, and Tristan's spirit eagerly agrees, ready to become a pawn in his master's endgame. With his knight's soul as the catalyst, the king begins a summoning ritual that's about to break the game. He's using high-grade mana stones, the same kind our boy loots, to power up this forbidden spell. And he's not just summoning a weapon, he's calling forth his ultimate champion. He screams the name Lancelot, preparing to bring back the very knight our heroes just defeated. Meanwhile, our boy is busy with his own project, combining random junk with his god-tier powers. And he just created a semi-rare electrified baseball bat, because the apocalypse is his personal workshop. His sister's reaction is pure joy, because she just got a brand new toy for her monster mashing party. She connects the dots, realizing his magic is just high-tech crafting, and he casually orders his AI to clean up the mess. She's so impressed with his crafting skills, she's ready to test out her new electric bat on the nearest monster. But he reveals a critical weakness. Combining items can actually downgrade them, and this new toy is weaker than the original. She couldn't care less about the stats. If it's rare and it swings, it's good enough for her. But then he notices something wrong, and her excuse for the marks on her neck is not convincing. She admits she was bitten during the fight, and while she's trying to play it cool, you know that's never a good sign. The banter turns dark as she jokes about wanting to bite him, and you realize this isn't just a scratch. And then she makes him promise. If she starts to turn, he has to be the one to put her down. But their heart-to-heart is cut short because they've just walked into the final boss's throne room. The Skeleton King is waiting, and he's not just angry. He's insulted that a magician would stoop so low as to visit his domain. And with a voice dripping with contempt, he asks them a simple question. Why are you trashing my business? Our boy's sister confirms they found the final boss, and she is so ready for this fight. The king doesn't care who they are. He's lost everything, and he's about to take them down with him. But they have no idea what he's talking about, because they just crashed a cosmic war they weren't invited to. The king decides talk is cheap, and with a smile that's pure malice, he officially sentences them to death. And his first move is to resurrect Lancelot, the very night they just turned into dust. But his sister isn't scared. She's thrilled because she was just itching to test out her new electric bat. She calls dibs on the rematch, telling her brother to sit this one out because this fight is hers. She meets the knight's charge head-on, and the throne room explodes as her electric bat clashes with his legendary sword. The impact is massive, but all she can complain about is the dust, because a little property damage won't ruin her good time. But her new toy is already starting to crack, and she realizes her enchanted bat needs a serious upgrade. Fast. And her brand new toy shatters on impact because this knight isn't playing by the same rules anymore. She complains about the cheap loot, but you know this isn't a gear issue. It's a final boss issue. But then she corrects herself, because it's not the bat that's the problem. It's that the king didn't just resurrect his knight. He gave him a serious power-up.